I actually like that song, and I don't like stopping it so soon. But hey, we have to. Let me just drop the sound on the game because we don't need that today. Boof and boof. There we go. Sound is dropped. Now let me see if I can get Discord working.
I was commented, whoever said 7-star wins, yay! Like, and she was like, I don't know why she even cried. Well, like the players cry, I understand that you win money. Why the like all emotionally funny? To be obvious.
I actually signed Alexandra. I mean, she's fine with me. I don't know, but
Fugit's wearing a hat today.
I am wearing a hat
I think this is
today.
the first time I've ever seen him with a hat.
oh, is he wearing a tinfoil hat?
No, but I was tempted to wear a tinfoil hat, but it's bloody hot outside.
But then there's another thing that the entire Russian servers, for some reason, coming to other servers. Like, I see EU.
I just jumped, guys. I just jumped into this.
Russian letters always typed on the chat. And I like why I said once, "What the fuck are you speaking?" And still he's typing something random in Russian. There's no English in the game.
No TT. I'm not using Stream Elements. I'm using OBS. OBS Studio, and I'm going via my Mac.
I thought you left because of me.
So anyway, hello Republic Soldier, hello TT, hello Gangster, hello The Deal for Real, hello Dave DeRave. Yeah. That's on YouTube. Hello on.
Well, I hope
we got The Deal for Real, Wild Ones Zapper, and World of Wonders. Who's talking a lot?
Oh, I will actually make a video soon about my final thoughts on the summer season. Potentially, I need to actually write down what my things that I like.
Opinions from everyone.
Well, we're going to talk about the summer season.
Players in the game or the
That's
best critics or the saltiest people.
Well, see, nobody can hear me.
I interviewed some
Mainly
clans
because...
during the stream, so I know exactly some of the big issues and some of the big things about the summer season.
Now they can hear me.
Oh wow!
Oh,
yes.
I can't hear you, Fugit. Speak up.
Is it suddenly very loud? Yeah, probably. Oh, dearie me. Anyway, as I said, welcome to everybody on Discord. Welcome to everybody on YouTube. All 8 of you at the moment. Yay! At least 8 is better than none, and it's better than 7. Not as good as 9. Interestingly. So, we're just hearing you rabbiting on there. Yes, we are going to be talking about the summer season. In fact, we're going to talk about that. One of the first topics, because the big, I'm just taking my shoes off. The biggest topic is ATGMs and the survey that is currently ongoing. But we'll get to that later because, like always, when you talk about missiles, everybody gets excited. So anyway, before we kick off, I was very shocked yesterday when I did the live stream on EU. I went into the store to make some time up. And look, there's nothing in there apart from a Matilda. And the Sherman Jumbo has jumped in at 5,500 gold. The Project 59 is still there. If anyone is tempted, seriously, type 59 ding if you don't get it. It's a good deal, that. It's only 7,500 and it comes with all its equipment unlocked. It's actually a good deal. They've still got the T-54 E2 containers.
Don't be Wallet Warriors.
And I'm trying to work out. They have a galactic Panzer S-35. Why is it galactic? I don't know why it's galactic. It's got a galaxy rare camouflage. I don't know what that is. Hello, Shal. How are you doing? I don't know why it's galactic other than the camouflage. What makes it galactic? Does it fly? Is it bouncy?
It's slow. It's bouncy.
But they've taken, they've got the dangerous 9s, K91, the Camp 70, the T55A, and the AMX30. So these have just hit the store today, by the way, because when I was live streaming last night, they weren't in the store. And that's about $50 for those tanks.
Oh, that's not worth it. I'm not going to buy them.
Or for about, that's about what? That's just close to $20-ish, about $15 to $20 you can get the tanks individually by looks like it. So for $60 you can get 3 tanks. For $50 you can get 4. Yeah, I don't know how they work it out, but they work it out somehow. And that's really it at the moment. So, like I said, last night they'd obviously changed it. Hello, economics mate. How's it going?
And hello,
So-
Yori.
So yeah,
Sorry.
it everything changed. Obviously, they put all those in the store today because there was nothing there yesterday when I was live streaming. So let's jump straight into it. What did everybody think about the Tier 8 Summer tournament?
It
Oh,
was,
Hey, cool dude.
Oh, sorry?
Asia was pretty a rip-off. Asia was not that fun. EU was very, like, it was fun to watch. EU, that last battle was amazing. When Raid
Yes,
made
it
like
was. Yes, it was.
comeback.
Well,
Like,
it's turning the tide because Raid normally have the habit of going down and coming back, but it was Endgame
Yeah.
this time. So,
And that
Like-
was the
Yeah.
best comeback till now they might have done, to be obvious. And Raid didn't spam any, like, the T-54, they only had like one or two.
no,
But
they
they
had,
have-
no, they had 3 252s.
yeah, 325 to use, I remember as well.
Yeah, they had 3 of those.
Same.
They
Yeah,
they
but
only took. I think you'll find they only took one tech tree, and that was the 301.
No, they did take the T-32, right? Because they.
Oh yes, sorry, they did. Yes, they did because JP, not JP, Blaster was in the 301 all the time, and then there was a couple of there were T32s. But the main meta that they used was over Object 252U or the T54 that's just come out.
That was like, that's everywhere.
Yeah, I mean,
That's the meta.
but I mean, this is the thing. You can't blame Raid for doing that. I mean, they may have been making a point. I don't know. That's the thing. But what was disappointing with Asia was, I mean, GV fielded only premiums. That was it. Not a single tech tree.
And they were salting Feast for it. Like, if you go to Feast's announcements, Maddox put this in. Like, he was absolutely trash talked by all of GV.
No, I've seen some of that. I mean, in that, you know, I mean, to be honest with you, I said this to Maddox yesterday. In fairness, Feast did have the upper hand in the first 4 games. Okay, you may think that's a bit odd because they lost one of the games. They lost one of those games really on the ties. Very unlucky. It was just that GV were getting the points slightly quicker. But if it wouldn't have been if the clock wouldn't have run down, then Feast would have won that game. They had more tanks on the field, they had more hit points, and they were in control. And I said to Maddox, I said, yeah, you can moan as much as you like about the meta, but the fact is, Feast had them on the ropes for the first 4 games. They really did. Okay, they lost one of those first 4, but they really had them on the ropes. And it wasn't as if Feast weren't able to counter the tanks, because they were. But the problem is, I said this in the stream, and I also agree with Maddox on this, it's very difficult when they go full-on aggressive in 5 252Us to counter that. And that's exactly what GV did on the last 3 games. They just went full-on aggression.
And they also used the Defender Mark 1. That's actually pretty OP if you know the hold on positions. That thing's
Yeah.
it is.
Hey,
And the
Bushka.
Alpha Damage.
It's Bushka J. I mean, this is the thing though. I mean, when ID played them, I said in the stream again, ID would have been watching this, the performance against Feast. And if you noticed in the first couple of games, ID said, well, come on, be aggressive. And we're just going to sit here and take you out. Which is exactly what ID did. They held back. And when they lost on Winter Melanovka ID, it was because, if you notice, GV weren't aggressive. And that took ID by surprise, I think. Just my penny's worth.
But I think that game, the ID and Winter Mandovka, I think it's actually their fault to capture B, actually.
I don't disagree with you. But I think they captured B. I think their game plan was, well, they're going to be aggressive. We might as well just capture B and let them come. And I think it took ID by surprise when they weren't aggressive.
I mean, the winter, I said a lot of times in meeting Maranovka, you need to be careful of that because you will get shot by a lot of angles, and that tank there just kept on getting resets and getting shot from multiple angles. So I don't know why they would go for that, to be honest.
Because usually A is the best side, because from A you can actually counter push from each side and you can distract and bait tanks on each side. So A actually has, even though it's a lower ground, has an upper hand in the gameplay wise.
I agree. I agree.
Because if you like, usually what they do in tier 10 is they sit a mouse up in the top of B just to protect B, and usually the mouse is not able to angle to two sides or even the middle, and it basically gets hammered, and then you lose a tank and then you push in.
I mean, looking at it from a purely game style point of view. I mean, don't get me wrong. All the teams, in fairness, played beautiful games. The only thing that I find about the Tier 8 tour is it's boring. And it's not the team's fault. It's not the team's fault. And I say it's boring because, you know, watching... Look, when you watch Tier 10 tours, in the Pro Tours at Tier 10, there's a mix-up. There's sometimes a TD, there's maybe a light, a couple of mediums, and a couple of heavies. And there's a good mix. So you can see, you know, they're playing around with the map to try and dominate and take control, and it's very strategic. What I was generally seeing with the Tier 8 tours is, sod it, let's just go heavy. we'll throw in a random token light tank or possibly a medium every now and then. Certainly, I didn't see hardly any TDs. And it was like, sod it, let's go heavy. And it's boring for the teams, and it's boring for everybody. It's not, and I said this on Wargaming's official Discord. It's not entertaining for people because, you know, they're just watching 252 use brawl, and you know, that's great in random games or quick tours. Not so good in tours like this. And don't get me wrong. I mean, all the teams. I mean, the last 2 days yesterday for the finals, both in Asia and on EU. Admittedly, I haven't seen NA or RU, but I mean, they gave us some fantastic entertainment. To be fair, you know, it was some amazing gameplay. It went down to the wire, and it was just beautiful to watch. But it's not Tier 10. And the other problem I have with Tier 8 is that a lot of people say that Tier 10 is not a level playing field because of the T22. While I say Tier 8 is even worse, because
much worse.
You know, not everybody
T22
has got
is not the meta anymore.
No, well, there is that, Jory. T22 is not the meta anymore. And I was arguing this with somebody yesterday because somebody said, but now there's the Super Conk. And I said, well, I'm yet to be convinced that the teams are going to, you know, in the top tours, that they're going to rely on the Super Conk instead of the T22. I just don't believe they will rely on it that much. They'll still be using E5s and, you know, IS4s, etc., etc. I don't think the Super Conk is going to be as revolutionary meta-wise as people are thinking. And you're right, the T22, when it first came out, yes, it was the thing, but not anymore. And whilst you can argue, but they're still unbalanced, guys, because some of the teams don't have all their crew skills unlocked, etc., etc. At least the tanks are balanced. At least you've all got the opportunity to get the same tanks, to be fair. Because hardly anybody rolled. I mean, look, tell me, how many tournaments have you seen where somebody's rolled out on the T95 Tier 10 collector?
No.
Nobody does that.
Okay, the Mark 6 is map dependent, to be fair. It's not every game. Well, you know, you may see the odd Mark 6 here and there, but it really is map dependent. It's not, you know, they're not spamming them all the time.
Sporadic.
Sporadic, yeah. You'll get T22s every now and then, but as Jory says, the meta is now changed. How many badges do you see?
Although I think it's still in the meta. I would say
no.
I would disagree. I think it's still possible.
I don't know on that. I don't know on the T22. Yeah, I've not seen for a lot of Tier 10s recently. I've not seen them being used. Badger, nobody. Map dependent tank.
Badger.
nobody uses it in.
Map dependent.
Exactly. VK90. What about the VK90?
That's used slightly.
Oh.
It's not used in the top tours yet, but it's used in the small tournaments. I've seen it being used.
Yeah, I've not seen a top clan take that yet. And then you've got the AMX30B. No one's used. No.
AMX30B, it's a special one in fact. Potentially could be really good because it's a combination of like the STB1 and also the.
Yeah, but I would argue that the top clans, they would turn around and say, why would we bother with the AMX when we've got the STB? I mean,
because it's much quicker. It's much quicker.
Yeah, but the STB's got much better turret armor.
Yes, but then as I said, it's like Leopard ones that could become a scout role for the MX-30B, and that's how I find the MX-30B, that you can scout the tanks up and then you can just run away.
But
and
Leopard
possibly...
is better than it has more DPM. When you come against another medium in the tournament, the 30B will just get like destroyed.
But the thing is, I mean, I've got on YouTube, Bushka J is on YouTube from Elim. And he's saying that firstly the WZ113 is an underrated tank in Clan Wars, and I agree with that. I mean, it's a fantastic tank. I used to hate it. Spoke to Jory, love that tank to bits. And when I go out with Zenith in quick tours, I'm either jumping in that, or I'm jumping in an E5, or I'm jumping in an IS4. Preferably, I'd like to jump in the 113. It's a beautiful tank. The only problem with the 113 is the turret turn. Aside from that, it's a lovely tank. And Ibushka's also saying, strangely, the T22 is not as good as the 140 for relocation, and the gun is better. And so, the meta is changing in that respect.
Like the meta is like the Object 140 is still better than the T22. The penetration because of the AP rounds is much better.
Yeah, but now the thing is, the thing I find with the T22, when it first came out, players really didn't know where its weak spots were, and they would bounce a lot of shots. Now the top players have worked out where to shoot this thing, and that makes a big change. That makes a big change. Once the top guys go out and work out where to shoot these tanks, it changes everything. And this is what they do. They look at. I mean, the top clans, they work long and hard to work out, where the weak spots are, what we can do with this, how we can counter it, blah, blah, blah. And I can't see, I mean, the T22's basic advantage was that it bounced a lot. And when you take that out of the equation, is it really different to a 140 or a T62A? Really?
Yeah, because when it used to run, you could never actually hit the rear, and the track used to always absorb it, and you have to hit the middle, exactly in the middle. The weird armor profile on the sides doesn't let you HE it.
Hi, Milo.
The same goes. The 140 doesn't get HE from the side, it's pretty hard, but you can't HE the T22 anywhere except for 183 on the front. That's the only reason why the T22 is slightly better sometimes, because it's not HE cannibal. The 140 and the 62, the 62 can get HE pen from the side. The 140 can't, but the rear is again HE penable. Or the T22 can't.
I mean, the thing is, when we roll out on training and stuff like that, then there are certain tanks that the lead wants, and I'll be honest with you, it's only certain maps that they want the T22. It's not every map. Where I can tell you, every map will almost certainly have an E5. Almost without question. There's an E5 almost every map.
IS4 is like everywhere. IS4 is the one that's used anymore.
There is, yes. Yeah, IS4s are all over the place as well. But yeah, I mean, there's always an E5, and there's always those type of tanks. There's not always a T22. It depends on the strat and the map. Oddly enough, it's not a go-to meta.
Yeah, it's going to be. It's the T22. originally saying it was in the matter because for myself personally, I still use it for some of my philosophy,
Mm-hmm.
some of the maps, some of the strategies I want to use. I
Yeah.
think T22 has the edge over the armor that some maps can help with. But you have other choices like Object 140 with the mobility. Although, when I checked the Blitz stars, the tank comparison, it wasn't really that much of a big difference though. So
Mm-hmm.
like T62A is still I think it's pretty underrated. I think it's a pretty much an overrated
T62 is
tank.
much better.
And you have
There you go.
The gun is pretty good.
Well, the T22 was just the beefy med for med rolling. You know,
Yeah.
it was very much the meta before the heavy buff, and the heavy buff was kind of countered that. But typically, you would see the T22s run in pairs for med rolling. That's basically what the point of them was.
Yeah, I mean the
If you
map
saw
rolling and
in,
also
like,
the
but
used to be armor.
But if you go against noobs in the T22 who don't know how to pen it, it works. But when you go against the top clans, like if you see some of the top clans playing, if they use a T22, it's treated as the same Object 140 because they have the accuracy and the skills to just destroy it. They get occasionally might some bounces, but usually it's just a normal medium. You can't do something amazing in it that the Object 140 or the C2 can't. Mechanical skilled players know where to pen it. So that could be an argument to saying that T20 is still in the meta.
I mean, the armor is still able to. I saw in the stream as well. The good players still bounces some shots that you might expect the good players not to. So I think it's still it happens every now and then where players get nervous and suddenly they fluff their shots, and T22 has a higher chance of achieving that. So I still think that can still happen.
I mean, just staying on tier 10. I mean, Bushka J again on YouTube is saying, well, the problem with the E5 is always gets ammo wrecked. That is one of the problems with the E5. It is susceptible. Not as I don't know. Is it as susceptible as the IS7? That's the thing. Maybe Joey can answer that one.
The ammo rack is beneath the lower plate, so if you hit the lower plate too many times, you have a high chance of ammo racking it. That's the issue with all Americans. The lower plate has the ammo rack.
Oh, there is that, but the IS7 is notoriously easy to ammo rack as well, to be fair.
Yeah.
But the E5, I mean, the E5 is still a great tank.
E5 is a really good tank.
Yeah.
But, I don't get the appeal of i7 personally. Though I think it's
i7 is better than i4.
I don't know.
This is my dilemma. I mean, is it because I like the IS7? I mean, I played the IS4 in Quick Tours because they won't let me play the IS7. I like the IS7. I do actually think it's a slightly better tank.
I don't know personally. When I was playing the IS7 back in H7 as I do it while streaming, yeah, I think it's not as bad as I once thought because the problem with IS7 mainly is the gun, and it's pretty hard to angle your tank. So it's just like somewhere like you either angle too little, such that you're not side stripping, or you angle too much so that you actually de-angle pike nose. So all in all, like the IS7's armor is difficult to operate, and with a very meh gun, I think people use it just because it's pretty quick and mobile, and it gets you to the spots in heavy very quickly. But then that's it pretty much. And
like the gun is like the IS4 has a better gun, and the side armor is way better in the IS4. If you notice, because
Bushka's saying when he was in Endgame, nobody wanted to play the E5. But sorry, yes, you were saying World of Wonders. Sorry.
Yeah, so basically the IS4 has a better penetration. It has it has a way better heat penetration, like 70 millimeters more, something like that. And then it actually has a better upper plate. To be honest, then it has a better side armor. It has a better rear armor. and it also has a better turret. So I don't see why the IS-7 is not in the meta, because I think it's absolutely dead. The IS-4 beats it everywhere. Even the DPM is actually better for the IS-4.
Yeah,
Drivers is the only
I think.
thing.
I don't know. I mean, I'm torn. I like the IS-7, to be honest with you. I did a video on it saying I don't understand why people don't like the IS-7 anymore. I mean, I think the tank's still fantastic. And I think the players nowadays, and I'm not talking about those who've been in the game a long time or the super unicums, but those coming up through the game now, I don't think they like the IS-7 because they think that you need to angle its armour to bounce, where if you do that, you're not going to bounce. And I just think there's more of it's more of a lack of understanding in the mechanics of the tank rather than the tank itself. Whereas with an IS-4, you can, as long as you keep your bottom plate sort of covered, everybody, you can angle it, you can turn it, you can do whatever you like, and people are not going to pen you unless they put their pramo in and aim for your driver's hatch. So it seems an easier tank to play for the newer player than the IS-7 in that respect. But we digress. Because that's tier 10. We're meant to be talking about tier 8. Because that's what the tournament was. The tournament was tier 8. And I'm just going to throw it out there. A lot of the top clans have said they were disappointed. For various reasons. I mean, it's not just because it's pay to win, but for various reasons. And I want to know from everybody else who wasn't just in the tour as a top clan, but also those who were watching. Was it an enjoyable tour? Realistically,
I didn't.
I watched most of the EU series, and I'm an NA player only, so I had no bias. Right, I was mainly watching it just to for general knowledge, to learn the teams, learn the players, get a better understanding of what's going on in the EU. And I actually found the matches quite enjoyable because there were comebacks. I mean, what was there, like 3 tie-breaking matches or something? It was There's
quite a few of those. Yeah.
I mean, without stiff competition, that stuff doesn't happen. So from a purely spectator standpoint, not to mention the awesome commentary by you guys, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Threeberry over there. You had Fugit tearing it up himself. You had Wild One, and Miss Almanette. They brought us some great streams, and I thoroughly enjoyed the series.
But in Asia was not nice because there were like 4 to 5 top professional fans who said that this tournament is just like a scam, so they didn't even participate. Like clans like E7, RN, Com, they didn't even take a look even. They didn't even play one single ascent.
I think E7 did.
Really no, they played as Rexy. They didn't play one tournament, but then they left it. That's not E7's
yeah, that's true. I mean, from the spectators' point of view, the gameplay itself isn't bad. I think some of them are pretty exciting as well, and similar to kind of how things are going in tier 10. I mean, obviously, if the tanks taken there was another problem to talk about. But I mean, overall gameplay, the clans, I think they've delivered the goodies to us, and I really enjoyed a lot of games.
Definitely.
Streamers' point of view, yes. I think if it's just for the gameplay, probably while I was streaming Asia, especially the top 16 fight was very, very boring, unfortunately, because the 16th place team didn't even bother this tournament anymore, and then you have Janix who couldn't even get past through the first round twice, and they were like the only clan that could contend with that 16th place team WWNE, and it was like so boring. He was much more competitive there.
Yeah, Gamer Boy on YT has just said didn't like the tier 8 matches with the Object 252 running around, both teams in the same tanks with an exception of 1 or 2. Tier 8 matches were boring. And, I've heard a lot of that, to be honest with you. And the viewing figures weren't as high either, I noticed, on the official stream. I mean, for example, in EU, we normally get a lot of viewers watching the tours, Be it the spring, when it's professional series, we get, a lot of players, a lot of people watching. I noticed yesterday Aminet was getting brushing about 400, 350, 400 tops. That's low, realistically, for EU Tour. Grand final, by the way, grand final. And that's not Aminet.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's not because of Amunet. That's because she always streams the grand final. And if you compare this to what she had in the spring series, that's 200 to 300 people less who were watching.
I can actually further talk about how I don't know. With the quotation marks, terrible or something like that, the viewership. And basically, the last video, the grand final stage, actually, some of my Ascent tournaments have higher views than that, actually. And even the live draw video I did, it only surpasses by 70 more views. It's just, wow.
Yeah, because everybody was watching Amunet, so you can't. Much about it.
I mean, that's true though. But then it's grand finals and the viewer figures. Emunet as well. It's pretty underwhelming. The previous night was better. I don't know, for all the channels, they are much better. The previous night. Yeah.
Well, part of that is also too the people that only have one mobile device, and they're watching for rewards through the portal. That's their only option.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
They're
as
not gonna pick up that viewership.
Yeah, as a streamer myself, I know that unless you've got the big teams or the big games, then with the rewards, then you're not going to pick up the audience realistically, no matter how good you are, because not everybody's got two devices. Not everybody can have a device open and watch a streamer on a different screen. They can't do that. And I'm always shocked when, yesterday, I'm shocked that I've got 30 odd people watching. It always shocks me because I'm always thinking that, there's not going to be many people watching this stream because it's not a reward stream and it's not on the portal. So as a streamer, you can never underestimate that. The thing is, I therefore look at what was the viewership for the main stream, and that's not how many viewers are watching Amunet's actual stream, but how many people are watching the World of Tanks stream. And it was down. It was down. Compared to the Tier 10 professional series, it was down.
I'm going to head up.
But at least now the Twister season will come, and I'm pretty sure every professional contest is going to come back. But there's
I would have thought so.
The offlines are not there. That could be one discouraging factor, I guess. But I think Wargaming will give out prize money for the Twister Professionals this season. So,
well, that was a prize money. The Tier 8 was a prize money. I think it was, $6,000 first prize?
No. 2,300. It's distributed at
2,400.
2,400, there you go.
I think that was part of the issue as well, too. It's, let's just say there wasn't, what is it saying? Nothing ventured, nothing gained. So there wasn't much to, accomplish with this tournament from a player's perspective as well. So I think that had a big part of it. Is just that it was just average to begin with. But
therein lies. We spoke about this last week when Rolling was in, and one of the problems that Blitz does face, and I'm a great believer. I think personally, if they put a lot more effort into their esports side, then it would be fun. It would generate quite a lot of audience because it's fast and it's furious. It is 7 minutes. It is not just smacking rounds into tanks, and it can be fast and furious. Unlike the PC version, which is a bit longer, there's enough tanks on the ground. The maps are okay-ish. They're not massive, but some of them are big enough to keep the entertainment. The streamers who are streaming it can fly around the maps with pretty much ease and try and get as much of the action as possible. So from that perspective, I think the esports side of the game is a winner for them. Do they put enough investment into it? I don't know. I don't know what they do in wargaming. Do they put enough investment into it to attract the big gamers? Well, no, they don't. But herein lies the problem. Until, you know, it gets lots of viewers on either YouTube or whatever, then the big investors aren't going to throw the prize fund at it. And that's the catch-22. But I think, you know, wargaming seriously, and this is just my opinion, I think wargaming seriously need to look at that side of it, because they've got something that could be very good for them.
But honestly, I mean, I was saving this, but since we're on kind of a tangent here, I hate to say it, but I think they merely use this Tier 8 tournament to market premium tank sales. I wholeheartedly believe that.
I think just on that point, I think it's what they've done here for the Tier 8 is double-edged, and I think one of the edges is exactly that, to market premium tank sales, but that depends on people taking premium tanks, number one. But I think the other side that they were trying to do, and it was sort of confirmed to me by them, was they are trying to get more people interested in clan wars, and with the greatest of respect, not many clans are happy going out in Tier 10 for lots of different reasons. But whereas a lot of clans are happy to go out in Tier 8 because it's more open to people because they can get premiums. So it is a double-edged sword. They do obviously want the propaganda. They want people to buy the Tier 8s. If you notice throughout the tournament, there are lots of Tier 8s on sale. So of course. And it's no surprise that, you know, a Tier 8 came on sale for gold boxes. It's you know, so yeah.
But like you said, kind of with the double-edged sword, but I'm calling it a catch-22 in itself, because you're saying that you want to get clans involved in tournaments, but how many clans are you just going to roll out in Tier 8 premiums for tournaments? That's not.
That's a good point. Which is, I mean, I've made my position clear on the wargaming server, on the Discord server, saying, guys, you know, if you're serious about Tier 8 tournaments, if you really are looking at getting more people involved, then you need to change the rules, and those rules need to be either A, you only field Tech Tree premium tanks, or B, you only field 2 premium tanks. Simple.
Yeah. Don't even allow premium tanks, it just doesn't work.
Maddox, hello my friend.
Oh wow.
Got a lot to rant about.
Yep, Maddox is one of the big supporters of the 252U making a showing on Asia, by the way. That's sarcastic. He's not a big fan of the Tier 8 premiums spamming, and I have to agree with him there. So you think, Maddox, that shouldn't be any premiums at all?
Not even a single tank that you cannot obtain through normal ways of playing the game.
Well, that's why I said Tech Tree premiums, because you can achieve that, but then you have to buy it, and I understand your point there, which is a good point. And I said on I said in Wargaming's Discord, it is not a level playing field. Tier 8 is not a level playing field, because if I pulled a clan together, for example, and we decide to roll out in Tier 8, and I'm grinding on the Asian server at the moment, so let's say I just decided to make a clan on the Asian server because I'm grinding there. Yes, I have a couple of Tier 8 premiums, but I don't have a 252U, I don't have a Defender Mark 1, I don't have a Chimera, I don't have these type of tanks, because they haven't, well, I've got a Chimera, I lied, but I haven't got an Action X, because they haven't been in the store recently. And if my team are pretty new or re-rolls, the chances are they're not going to have those tanks either. Now, the reason I say that is because my EU clan, Zenith, we started doing the Ascent Tour, and there were only 2 of us who had the 252U.
It was awful.
So we dropped it. We said, this is just ridiculous. There's no point doing the Ascent Tour. We just can't compete. We've got guys going out, you know, the only premium they've got is either a Lova or an IS-6. We just can't compete, guys. You know, we came against one clan that had 6 252Us. We just can't compete. It's just not possible.
And imagine what that does to a big clan like us. We don't have the 252Us, but we're sort of tied into this because people expect top clans like us to participate, and we have to respond to their expectations to actually play it. So our hands are tied, and we don't have the tanks to actually counter them. So we literally just have to slaughter our way out of this, so to say.
Well, that's why it's not a level playing field. And I mean, I said earlier, it is. I mean, GV. Not taking anything away from GV, by the way. I'm not picking on GV. Not pointing fingers or anything. But in fairness to GV, rolling out every match in 5 252Us and 2 Defender Mark 1s was, as an entertainment, pretty dull, to be fair.
It was awful.
And it was every game. It was every game, by the way. It wasn't just 1 or 2 games. It was every game.
Yeah, it was every game. You don't see any variation at all.
No. And, you know, I mean, on the one stream I had Wild Ones Helper commenting as well, and he was pulling his hair out because he's a medium player. He's like, where's all the mediums? There's no mediums. and there wasn't. I mean, there's 2 Defender Mark 2s and the rest are 252Us, and that is it. And that's not only, don't forget, not only is that a lot of HP on the field to get through, when you then stack it against a team that doesn't run 5 252Us, then the hit point imbalance becomes massive as well.
Yeah.
It's not just hit points, it's also the tank performance as well.
Absolutely.
The Defender Mark 1, if you put 2 of them together...
Which they did, a lot.
You literally full clip 1 tank with 2 Defenders Mark 1.
Yes.
Whereas if we take 100 mediums, we can't do anything about it. So... And then we can't really push our 2Us because they're like tough as hell. And basically our protocol in Feast was to the point that we have to go like, oh, we can't push this side. Let's push the side with less 252Us. Doesn't matter if there's more tanks there. We gotta push that side because that side got less 252Us. Like, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Well, I just want. I mean, as I've got you, I just want to jump in on that because I was saying yesterday. I mean, take your last game, Mayan Ruins. Okay. How do you counter that as a team when they just go full on aggressive rush, knowing they are full on heavies? You've got a lot of HP to go through, and they've got powerful tanks and powerful guns. How do you cope with that? Because that was their tactic at the end of the day. Their tactic is almost, it's not quite the Iron Fist approach in a push, but it's very aggressive, knowing that, well, we've got 5 super heavies that you've got to deal with here, realistically, in Tier 8.
And the thing is very mobile. That's another thing. The thing is
absolutely, it's quick. It's not slow.
It's not slow. It's not.
It's an i7. It's basically an i7 with actually more armor and a weaker
i7. i7's armor profile is a lot more predictable than that. Let me tell you. I was playing Tier 10 the other day. It was so predictable that I wish that thing was in Tier 8 instead.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it has better armor. The Objective Fighter has a better armor than the i7.
But seriously, Maddox, I mean, going back to your Maya Ruins game, I mean, they just didn't take a breather. They just went full on push. And I mean, your tanks up opposite the 2 bridges, where just above the B cap, you had a T-32, I believe, and a couple of other heavies. What chance did they have against 5 of them?
We actually still had a chance there because they left the defenders behind.
They did. That is true.
I just didn't. Well, it was that last game that everybody was pretty stressed because we were all trying to deal with their rushes and stuff, and basically I made a big call that basically lost us the game. That was like, okay, let's slow down a bit because we don't. At the start, we only know that they got this defender. There's one defender, and I was remembering like, I think it was 1 defender and 1 252 at C cap at the start. So I was like, okay, I made the call. I was like, okay, let's slow down. Let's see what tanks they have, And then I just forgot about I made that call so that we basically did not chase the C side, and basically the B side was crushed over. Looking back, the chance we had was probably to make a full push, me ditching the B guys, just trying to make sure their defenders get clapped.
But doesn't that then throw strategy out the window to an extent? Because your strategy then is just we have to be equally as aggressive, and that's not what top clans are used to. Top clans are generally used to strategic gameplay.
I mean, if there was even tier 10, if they were doing some sort of rush like that, we had to still work the same way. It's just that in tier 8, the tag performance difference is just bigger because they're using premiums and we're not using premiums.
Sure.
So that to make that up with just basically everybody putting 120% just to counter those tanks. It's not impossible. Like I'll make it clear, it's not impossible. Like we got 3 points of GV. That's a proof that it's not impossible. But
correct.
It's just very consuming, mind consuming. That is. It's very stressful and it's mind consuming. That is just making. You can see us from the Appensat games who start making mistakes here and there. It's just very, very mentally consuming.
No, and it does seem that way. I mean, it seems a lot more taxing. Because as you said yesterday to me, your strat changes to let's push the side with the least 252s.
Like there's literally no choice we can make other than just to adapt on the fly, and try to overcome that performance gap from the tanks. But yeah, it's doable. That's for sure. That's for sure. Let's not make that discourage anybody. That's for sure.
No, but going back to the original, I mean, if Wargaming are intending, and I don't know if they are, in making tier 8 a regular, then surely they have to do something about making it a level playing field.
Yes.
And the only way to do that is re-looking at the view on premium tanks. Despite the fact that obviously tier 8 is the premium tank tier, that's the problem.
Yeah.
But they could have actually given everyone the chance. Every pro clan, every player had a chance to get those tanks for the tournament. They could have done that. That would be really awesome because we might see a lot of objective tattoos, but it would be fair for the other clans who do not have the objective tattoo.
But then you've got the second problem. You're asking, and again, Rolling made this point last week. Let's say you do that. You give everybody the chance. You stick it. What are you going to do? Stick it in the store because you're not going to give everybody a chance to get 252U free. You can't do that because it has to apply to all clans who enter the tour at whatever level, Ascent and or at the end. So you have no choice there. So you put it in the store. But even if you put it in the store, you're basically saying, well, if you can afford it, you'll probably win. Which brings it back to pay to win, which is not the idea of the tour. Tours are meant to be based on skill, not meta. Is the real thing. And, it depends where you want to look at this. Do you want a tour, a pinnacle of the game that is based on money, or do you want it based on skill? Simple as that. And I want it based on skill because I want to watch the top clans outplay everybody. That's why they're pros. That's why they're in the top clan. I want to watch the clans like Endgame, R2K, Raid because the players are superior to me, and I want to watch how they play the game. I don't want to watch a player who's as good as me rolling out in a pay-to-win tank, effectively, a 252U. I don't want to see that.
But at the end of the day, they all jumped in sharks and 252s.
Yeah, but at that point, I don't know if they were making. I don't know if they were making a point or not. To be honest with you, on EU, because a lot of the clans on EU. To be fair, Endgame being one of them. I mean, Endgame was one. Jory is on R2K. R2K was another one. they limited to an extent the amount of premiums they took out. They didn't run shed loads.
Endgame. I thought Endgame didn't use any premium in one of their matches. They used the FV301.
Yeah, they did.
It was spamming the Tiger too. It was pretty nice to watch, but then the Object 252 just raped all the Tigers. Snapped off a finger and everybody died.
Well, the fact of the matter is, if you can't beat them, you have to join them. And therein lies my dilemma. That was me coming back at you. Thank you, Banana Joe. I mean, my dilemma is this, as I said, I don't want to see players of my level in the top tiers as such. I want to see players who will play the tank as the tank like I can only dream of playing the tank. That's why they're super duper Unicom Pro players. And that's why I watch those tours, because I watch those tours to see how they can do this.
And inherently, it's kind of unfair to the people who are underprivileged for, I mean, in tier 10, tier 8 tournaments, like the players who cannot afford those tier 8 premiums, and like 252Us and WZ121 FT, and also the Undermark when they're on the expensive side of tier 8.
Well, let me put it to you this way. Just to give you an easier example type metaphor. Except teams spamming 252Us, what is your overlasting impression of the tier 8 tour? What amazing gameplay did you see?
Even the finals, that was the only thing I saw was amazing.
Right.
Well,
now let me take you to Twister 2018 with Raid. What stands out? Obviously, it's Messi sticking a grill at the back of Fort Despair.
Yeah.
That's skill. The team worked on that. They worked out where that tank can go. That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
There is nothing that smacks me in the face to say, wow, that was awesome. Whereas everybody spoke about Messi sticking a grill at the back of Fort Despair.
And then you also have the Raid comeback against Elements, as that's another talking point there.
Yeah,
that's the point I was going to bring up earlier. Yeah, the Raid comeback. But the thing is, it seems like WG doesn't want that playstyle, Fugit, that you mentioned. They've done everything to negate that, and I mean, even with the current tournament, that's proof of it.
Well, I don't know what the thinking was behind the current tournament, and I'd hate to say, to be honest with you, I would hate to sit here and say yes, Wargaming had this intent.
They did. If you wouldn't go watch the NA streams, okay, see, and this is part of what I wanted to get on a little bit today, and I'm not going to do it the right way just because I'm so frustrated, but I feel the need to bring it up now.
Okay.
So. You guys had 4 great streamers, commentators to enjoy these matches on the EU server, okay? And then you guys dabbled into the Asian server as well. Now, us over here on NA, we got boned. We got screwed. We had to watch Droodles #1, which is popular in some, not so popular in other circles. But not only was it that pain that we had to go through, it was in combo with the Russians coming in and co-commentating. So for every stream, we had to listen to 3 streamers, 2 of them with the most broken freaking English. You couldn't understand half the crap they were trying to say, trying to make comics and jokes and stuff. I didn't get it, okay? And then they even forced and made light of, oh, look at the 252s. How good is the 252? Every other word out of the Russian's mouth was 252s. And they literally had 252 forced down our friggin' throats trying to enjoy a tournament stream.
Well, okay, let me just deal with that because, I don't know the decision making or the reasoning behind it, but I have an inkling as to why what happened on NA. With insofar as Wargaming having their people there and Droodles being on and Israel Fatness being on.
Before you elaborate, I want to make a quick joke. You know, they made the movie Red Dawn for a reason. That's all. Go ahead.
So basically,
Wow.
basically, I mean, RU is their dominant server. Okay, it always has been since day one. I mean, but Belarus is next door to Russia, so it's hardly surprising. I've been to Russia many times, and there's a place in Russia in the center of Moscow called the Red Army Museum. Okay, and it's where they've got Stalin's uniform, and they've got all the Nazi flags that they stole at the end of the war and everything, and it's a massive museum. Okay, you walk through the doors to that museum, and what hits you straight away? World of Tanks. Bang! They've got an entire floor dedicated to World of Tanks. So it's a big business in Russia for them. Not so in the United States. Now, there are two arguments as to the gaming capital of the world. It's either the US or Asia. One of the two. Both servers on World of Tanks Blitz are struggling. Now, they don't understand probably why they're struggling so much in North America, because this is as an Englishman. So Americans, don't take this the wrong way, mate. You're very gung-ho. You like shooting shit. This would be the perfect game for you. Let's be honest. You know, you get to sit there and blow shit up 24/7. And it's a shock to me that this game is not that popular in North America. And when I say North America, I'm singling out the United States. I'm not talking about Canada. I'm not talking about Central America, Mexico, blah, blah, blah. Purely the United States. This is not a popular game. And it's clear that Wargaming somewhere along the line have scratched their heads and said, we got a problem here. This is a huge market that we're not successful in. So we need to do something about it. And I think what they've tried to do is just that, which is Droodles has got 20-odd thousand subs. So they look at him and say, wow, he's the most popular NA guy we've got for YouTube. His royal fatness is well known. He's one of the most well-known guys you've got in NA. So we'll bring him in, and then we'll also sit there and we'll make it a spectacle, and therefore sort of, I don't know, it's like advertise Wargaming World of Tanks Blitz to North America. Now, it may have worked, it may not, I don't know. But I think that's what they're trying to do. I think they are trying to increase their presence in North America, which, to be honest with you, I do not disagree with. And it is always taken me by surprise when NA is so low, server-wise. I mean, the player base is unbelievably low. Unbelievably low. Now, it could be for a variety of reasons. It could be that in North America, people think, well, it's a Russian game. I'm not going to play a Russian game. They could be spying on me. I mean, you never know. It could be that they don't like the game. It could be that it's too expensive compared to other games. It could be that it takes too long. It's not quick enough. I don't know. But there's certainly something that they've got not aligned with the market in North America, which is a big market, gaming-wise.
Well, I think the big problem that I see, that at least that I'm experiencing, is a patience issue. See, I have more patience than most people. And what it is we have constant server lag. The matchmaking, I mean, I know this is here nor there. I mean, you could look at it two sides of the coin, but I'll literally tell you this. After this week of gameplay, I almost rage quit the game altogether. I lost 1,000 ratings points. How the hell do you lose 1,000 rating points?
Tilt, probably.
Yeah.
And so here's the thing. Most players, especially if you want to say in the North American market here, they don't have the patience for a game like this. They're not going to stick through. You think that they're going to keep playing until they lose 1,000? They're going to lose 200 ratings points and dip out and say, nah, I'm done with this. I'll go play another game. So that's what I think it is. Mainly and for me, every time I go to freaking play, every time I want to play, I get 1% packet loss, 150 ping,
Yeah.
2% packet loss.
Mhm.
I mean, I gotta pick weird ass odd hours of the night to play the damn game, just because of how they regulate their servers and their connectivity. It's freaking ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I'm not the only one. I see constant people complain about it.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, and you know, like I said, I've always been surprised because I would have thought this is a game that would be embraced, especially by the people in the USA, because it's got everything. There's war, there's killing things, there's blowing shit up, and Americans love that. Americans love that.
The concept is cool, but nobody wants to play World of Lag. Nobody wants to play that.
Ah. Oh. Yeah, I'm still talking about Blitz. Yes, ups. Well, and this is the thing. I mean, but I can see what Wargaming are trying to do. They're trying to market it into America and North American server. And I think one of the things that's happened. I mean, again, I'm only speculating. I don't know any of this. I'm not a CC. I'm not sitting around the table. Blah blah blah. But they lost their biggest. How can you say this? Sponsor. That was Bushka. Because Bushka played on North America a lot.
I can tell you this. Most here on the NA server, and I don't want to speak for everybody on the NA server, because I'm only one voice in my opinion. My opinion differs.
Well, Treadhead Pete is agreeing with you at the moment.
but
That's
here's
two.
what we like. We like events, okay? So, for instance, when the Gravity event came out, right?
Mm-hmm.
I hooked up with some guys from the Sparta server, right, which is one of the oldest clans in the NA server, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So otherwise known as Straight or Sparta. They did a count-in on the last night, the weekend. I don't know. I think it was a Friday or something.
Yeah.
They did a count-in. They had players that literally hadn't played the game for 2 years to come back just to talk to their old clan mates and do a count-in on the Gravity thing. They invited other clans. I mean, the voice, it was crazy. There was on average of over 50 people there. I think at one point it got up over 70, but that's what they embraced. We did a count-in for the Gravity mode, and you had players come, like I said, that some of them hadn't played for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so how often do we get these events? So what, 1 week out every 3 months? So that's interesting. Not.
Well, I mean, so that's why you got what you got, by the way, for the tournament, I think. That's just my speculation. Because I've seen a lot of pushing towards NA. And to be honest with you, you were meant to have more than one stream. I mean, every Good Name Has Taken was down to stream NA. And then he was asked, well, no, please don't, because we're going to do this instead. So it's probably a marketing push into North America, is what I suspect, which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing. And I think, North America is an easier push than Asia. The reason being is that in North America, at least you've only really got 2 languages to contend with, which is basically English and Spanish. In Asia, you've got hundreds of languages to contend with. To be honest with you, I mean, you've got such a wide variance, and thrown into that mix, don't forget the people on the RU server, if they live in the Russian Far East, like Vladivostok, blah blah blah, they're going to jump onto the Asian server rather than the RU server.
Well, and then at this current stage too, there's a lot of children sitting at home with mommy and daddy's credit card with nothing to do.
Well, there is that also.
I don't know how that plays into it as well.
that does play a factor as well, yes. But so NA is an easier one for them, and maybe that's why they're doing what they're doing with that respect. I mean, I haven't seen the streams myself, so I can't comment on were they any good, were they entertaining, did it go down well in North America. I just don't know. I've not seen them.
I did see a few minutes of it. It's completely different to what I do.
Yeah,
it's like the whole of
it. Yeah, I hate to say it, man, because I'm used to, Bushker got me into it, man. I'm used to watching this, the skate commentary, the Fugit commentary, the rolling build up. Even Amanet does a great job. And they with the three of them, like Droodles and the Russians there, they took that all out of the window. And so for me, there wasn't even an entertainment aspect, let alone why would I try to pay attention to the teams, because we already know what the teams are, and then that's half of the clans weren't even really interested. So you basically had like I didn't even watch it all. I don't even know all the teams, but to my knowledge, you basically had like two teams that just kind of dominated the whole tournament, and they were really fast matches. Let's just say that.
But as a concept, it wasn't a bad. I mean, maybe the execution wasn't great, but as a concept, it's a good idea. Surely, I mean, you're dragging in what is by far North America's most popular YouTuber, which is Droodles. You're dragging in what is by far one of North America's most well-known players, which is His Royal Fatness, and you've got wargaming getting involved as well. So as a concept, it's not a bad idea. Maybe the execution was off. Maybe that.
But they did, because they didn't announce that. He was a surprise guest star on the last day.
Okay.
If they would have said, "Oh yeah," and tune in for day 3 of the finals with appearance by Royal Fatness, I'm sure some people would have been more excited about that. They didn't do that. And then not only that, and I don't want to sound too, I'm not trying to get too political or too whatever, but it's just sad. It's the fact of the matter. It's the history and all that, right? And it was years ago. It's over now. But I mean, we did have a Cold War. I mean, let's just. I know. When I go for my entertainment value, when I want to spend an hour or two and get entertained and watch something relaxing or something I have an interest in, like Blitz tournaments, right? The last thing I want to do is watch a Blitz tournament by a Russian commentator. I'm sorry, but I mean, I would watch the RU tournaments if I wanted to watch, if I wanted to indulge into that.
Yeah, but like I said, I mean, maybe Wargaming's concept was, look, guys, we're going to show some care and love to North America, and we ourselves, the face of Wargaming, the public face, which those two are, to be fair, they are the public face of Wargaming. We're gonna jump in and live stream your tour, which again I don't think is a bad concept. Maybe the execution wasn't as good.
Yeah, because from my perspective, the way I felt about it is I felt it was forced upon us. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't have an like I said. Okay, if I didn't like Fugit, I could go watch Almanet. If I didn't like Almanet, I could go watch Wild One. You know what I'm saying? I had options, right? But with the NA, we had one thing, and it's like this is what we get. We have to accept this. This is it.
Yeah. No, I see what you mean.
And
I see what you mean.
I think that was the main issue. Is at least that's where I'm coming from. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's something that Wargaming can take away and expand upon and get it down better. But as I said, as a concept, I don't blame them. I mean, it was a good idea as a concept. I haven't seen it myself. Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen it myself. So
they have better views than EU.
Yeah,
I think it was like 8,000 if I remember correctly.
Yeah. So as a concept, it's certainly a good thing. Maybe execution. As I said, I've not seen either stream, so I can't really comment. So I don't know. But it seems that what they were trying to do is a good idea. Maybe it was rushed. Maybe it was a marketing thing to push that and get the awareness in North America, which, as I said, is a really good thing. And maybe the next time they do it, it'll be slicker. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe it's the lack of slickness. I don't know. But interesting point, I must admit. Somebody's just written to me, it's Republic Soldier, saying about, what about those guys that Meadsy and Droodle showed, trolling. You're going to get that, Republic Soldier. You're going to get trolls in the game, no matter what game you're in, I'm afraid. Every game has got a troll. And, all you can do is raise a ticket and send it to Wargaming. It's as simple as that. And I admit they've just paid money to buy a CDC, and I admit, and I scream and shout when people do that because it is a massive breach of the ULA. I mean, blocking people purposely is actually a big sin in the ULA. So yeah, you should send, those things should be reported to Wargaming. And I know a lot of people think, yeah, but Wargaming don't do anything. Well, they don't tell you, is the answer, because of the various laws in place about data protection and privacy. They can't tell you for umpteen different reasons. But they do. A lot of people think they don't take it seriously. They actually do take things like this seriously, funnily enough. I used to be one of those thinking that they didn't, but they do. If you break the EULA, they take it seriously. I mean, one of the most well-known players on the EU server was Alison Becker, and of Loca, and he got a big slap, massive, for doing what they did with the guy from APA, and this is a top pro player, so they do take it seriously, even though sometimes as players we don't think they do. They do take it seriously, and I mean I've seen both Meters and Droodle's video, and I know Droodles goes on about something about it seems unfair that these guys are allowed in the game, but my friend has been chat banned. Well, yeah, but it takes Wargaming time to investigate. They have to investigate it because the action they're taking is big. It's huge, and I'll tell you why it's huge. Okay, they bought those tanks for real money, and if you ban me on the say-so of somebody else and you kick me off this platform, I want my money back, guys. Simple fact. I've spent money on this game. Now, if Wargaming were to ban me now on my EU account, I've spent thousands on that account. I want my money back because you've now denied me that without giving me a fair hearing. You can't do that. You're saying I'm in breach of the ULA. Fine. Then you have to investigate it. And when you investigate it, you have to take my side of the story too. I could have had ping. I don't know. It could have been any number of things. And that's why sometimes we feel that they don't take it seriously. They do. There are consequences to what happens. Serious consequences. And I'll give you an example. Just a very small example. Most YouTubers have Patreon. Yeah? Now, recently, Patreon basically said you can't be a patron to some YouTubers. You can't sign up to Patreon anymore because your YouTube channel has been blocked, has been demonetized for certain views. And one of those channels has just taken Patreon to court in California. And the channel itself didn't sue. The subscribers to the channel sued. It's going to cost Patreon millions to defend it in arbitration now. And this is the thing. I mean, we all think that, it's all, easy. Just ban somebody is easy. It ain't that easy because people have paid real money. And when you've paid real money, you have rights, funnily enough. And one of those rights is, just because somebody has said that I've breached the ELA, just because you've looked at it and said, your opinion, I've breached the ELA, you have to give me the opportunity to defend myself. You can't just take away everything I've paid for. Can't do that. And I understand the frustration of the players, but, this is a big boys world now, and these are big boys rules. You can't just do that. How would you like it if somebody banned you for something that you didn't think was... I mean, I know many people who've been chat banned, and they think that what they said was not that harsh. So how would you like it if suddenly you were told you're banned from the game after spending all this money because somebody reported you for blocking them, and you were not given the right to defend yourself or have your say? You'd be utterly pissed. Yeah. Rightly so.
I'm not condoning it either because, there's legitimate trolls out there as we
absolutely, I totally agree with you. Yeah, yes.
But what I think is the main issue is a lot of people tend to overreact with it.
Yeah.
Because they're not looking at the grand scheme of things.
Correct.
Look at your battle count and look at how many times you've been trolled. Okay, so you got trolled what, once, twice, in what, 10,000 battles?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah.
It's a bad battle. Chuck it up. GG. Go on to the next one. You know. But some people just like want to make it this big thing, and oh my god, they take their accounts away. Oh, man, dude, it's a game. At the end of the day, it's a game. They didn't play the game, you know, seriously, and it cost you a match. But there's others. Move on to the next match and just enjoy the game if you can.
Yeah.
And I think that's the bigger picture. Is that, you know, everybody tends to slightly overreact with this troll situation. You know.
Yeah, but as I said, I mean, it's Здравствуйте, Gamba. Привет, как дела? It's not as straightforward as we all think. And Cheeky, I understand where you're coming from there. 2,000 warnings. It's not enough to permanently ban. It depends what the warnings are. Because to permanently ban somebody, it's costing money. And as Treadhead Pete said there, yeah, it is. They've been forced now to go to arbitration where they have to upfront the money, which is a lot of money. It's $10,000 per claimant, and there's like 100 claimants, so it's it's $100,000. It's like $100,000 they've got to stick up front or something, or almost $1 million. It's a lot of money, and this is one of the problems because wargaming are a business, and businesses are not immune to this. And you're always going to get trolls. You're always going to get Muppets. They're always going to get warnings. They're going to get banned here, there, and everywhere. But they'd probably never get perma-banned, because to do that does open wargaming to. And they've got. Don't get me wrong. Wargaming's got a massive team of fantastic lawyers. They must have, because I guarantee you this. Wargaming, they get potential threats of being sued left, right, and centre. I mean, people saying I bought a tank and it's not what you advertised. I want my money back, and they say we're not giving you your money back. Right, I'm going to sue you, and people do that because they can. So it's not as straightforward as people think. So as much as I understand where Meadsy and Gruels are coming from in that, well, Meadsy not so much. I mean, Meadsy was just pointing out that these two guys are idiots. But what I saw in Drudel's video is, yes, I understand the frustration, I understand the annoyance, but real world is a lot more complex than that, guys. It's not all sweetness and light, and it's not as straightforward as we'd like to think. Just because somebody's trolled you or once or twice doesn't mean to say that they don't have rights, because they still do on the various laws of various countries. Yeah, exactly. Your Cantius hacking and things like that. That in the ERA is written that way. But the thing is, that's with it. That's the contractual side. If you've spent a lot of money, you are still entitled to have your side of the argument heard. It's as simple as, and this is where it all gets complex. Anyway, enough of that. So that's the tier 8s. And that was, why aren't these guys being banned?
Oh,
well,
yeah,
there you go.
Ask.
Yeah.
So, how do you enjoy the new heavy tank update?
Which one?
The old HP buff.
I love it.
Effects of it.
I love it. I still think it's great.
Hate it.
I know you still hate it, but I still think it's great. I still think it's great.
Well, for me, when it just came out, I wasn't really a fan of it, because potentially the teams are going to work around with the mouse. That big of a hit point pool buff was just, I think the clients would censor strategies around a mouse potentially, and secondly, my original strategies just got completely wasted because because my strategies originally are very aggressive and also mobile. It seems like I have to make it over again, but good thing is it opens up new window of opportunity, kind of the kinds of like strategies and moves, and also actually it's starting to get towards a point that strategies are becoming less and less important and more focused on map awareness, which is something I really like to see.
Yeah, definitely.
because at the end of the day, the teams win not because of their good initial strategies, it's because their skills they have shown in the end, the teamwork, the coordination, and I love to see that. And contrary to what I expected, the mouse buff wasn't that horrible. Like, we didn't see like EU clans spamming the mouses in every game except probably on Dynasty's Pearl. And our reserve is you see 7-star spamming you see 7-star using the double mouses every time, but you also see Mercy making the counter by using triple E5s and 4 lights and mediums. So I'd say the hit point buff is I would be neutral on that, although it kind of diminishes the importance of TDs, but overall, I don't find it to be detrimental in the first place.
Yeah, let me just stop there a minute. I just want to catch up with the YouTube guys, Republic Soldier, and the others. Look, it's not a question of so the good guys lose and we can't do anything about trolls. Of course you can. Raise a ticket, send the replay, raise a ticket. Now, you may think that the view I'm giving out is a little bit like crappy. Look at it this way. Recently, love him or loathe him, and he's I actually know the chap. He's actually a nice guy. APA Ernest was accused of cheating. He was accused of using an aimbot, and he was vilified, absolutely vilified in the community in Europe. And every time he went into the game, they said, "Oh, cheat, a hacker, aimbot, whatever." YouTubers did videos on it. I mean, using an aimbot, and he was guilty via public opinion. Therein lies the problem. You see, I mean, you know, all I would say is this: if you've come across a troll and they're trolling, and you firmly believe they're a troll, send a ticket to Wargaming, send the replay to any of the YouTubers, any of them, and say this guy trolled me. And the YouTubers will do a video on it. Simple as that. And if it's a justified and valid troll, then there's no harm in naming and shaming. Simple. They're in breach of the ULA. Simple. I mean, like so many. And that's all you need to do. So you can do it. You can do it. It's not they're going to get away with it. No. You've got mechanisms involved. If you think Wargaming aren't acting, send the replay to a YouTuber and say, this is what I've got. And the YouTuber will then look at that. Simple. And put it online. And there are plenty. There's Martin, Meadsy, Droodles, Every Good Name is Taken, Economics Mate. There's so many YouTubers to choose from. One of them will raise it. Now, let's knock that subject out and back to the heavy buff. I like the heavy buff. I know you don't like it, not Banana Joe. I like it because I think it's made the heavies what they're meant to be, and it's taken away the utter dominance of the mediums, which was there. And I know Wildrun's Alp is a medium player and he loves his mediums, and what the heavy buff has done is taken that away to an extent. It hasn't taken it away fully, so the mediums can now still, hey, Hyper Spider 7, one of 2 YouTube members that I now have. Da, da, da. He was the first though. He was the first. And I love it. I love that. And, you know, give it, because if you're, I'm just looking at tier 10 first. You go out in a super heavy at tier 10, be it a mouse or an E100, you're taking that tank for a reason. It's a bully. And it's always meant to be a bully.
Yeah.
Whereas prior to the HP buff, mouse to one side, some of the super heavies weren't bullies, to be honest with you.
To be fair, in tier 10, because mediums are quite strong, the heavy tank bar was well appreciated, but in lower tiers, where let's say sometimes are kind of overshines in some areas of Project 252U, and imagine just buffing the thing, just make it more durable. Yes. And on the other side, we have mediums who, even though yes, the later mediums come with 200 plus mils of penetration, some may struggle, especially if you're lower tier. Play tier 7 mediums. Yeah, have fun fighting tier 8 heavies.
No, don't get me wrong. I mean, they need to look at more ways to balance it without making the mediums too dominant again, because the high, I've done almost every video I do on tips, tactics, whatever, is play the tank class, not the tier, which is something that Bushki used to say as well. If you're in a heavy, you need to know what that heavy can do and what your role in a heavy is meant to be. And sometimes people don't, especially the newer players coming through, they're in the game at tiers 1 through to 4, and the strategy is all the same realistically. Let's be fair. It's roll out, either camp until you see something, and then shoot at it, and still camp a bit, until later, and then YOLO. That's it. That's the strategy, really. And, when you're going up through the game and that's your strategy, when you get to the higher tiers and you get into your tier 7 or tier 8 heavy, well, it worked in tiers 1 to 4, so why is it not going to work now? Without looking at the differences and the nuances. So let's take 2 heavies at tier 10. 2 completely different tanks. You've got the E100, which is a super heavy, heavily armoured, with a big gun, that can cause a lot of pain.
And all of those parts.
Hang on.
Like,
and then let's compare that to another heavy, which is the AMX-50B. Now a new player is going to think, oh wow, they're both heavies, and they're not, are they? And this is the problem. And you're coming at it from a player who's a good player, played the game a long time, and you've got used to the game style that you've had, and you know how to play the tanks. And you can see that, well, maybe it's taking this away a little bit. If you're a new player, it's awful, because you're just being annihilated by people like you in your medium, because you know how to play, and they don't know how to play the heavies. So you've got to balance it somewhere to take that dominance away. And I don't think the buff is a bad thing. I think the HP buff has been quite good. I think they need to look at more balancing. I agree.
Few hundred HP too much, but like, if every match, for example, was only 1 tier, where you basically fight equal opponents, you like have a not that high HP difference. Sure, I don't have anything against the heavy buff, but when you're paired. When you're down tier, you basically have worse HP, before you could, like, in lower tiers do some stuff, like you can have influence in the game, but now your influence is almost non-existent. You need.
Well, I want to drag Wild One's helper in here a little bit, because he is a die-hard medium player. He likes his medium tanks. I mean, what do you think, Jack?
What? You mean the heavy hit point boss?
Mm-hmm. Do you think it's made the mediums obsolete? Do you think it's turned them into non-entities?
No, definitely not. Well, actually.
Totally agree, Shao.
No, I would say for tier 10 it definitely doesn't, and somewhat it kind of actually makes the medium shine a bit, because
there's a lot more to farm off.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you can do more damage that way, but I mean the inherent, the kind of the armor thing. I mean just hit point pool buff. It's just the hit point pool buff. It's not armor buff or what gun buff here, and that's, I mean, the hit point pool buff is just kind of minuscule. For mediums, you can just put 1 or 2 more shells in and it's fine, and the same old things in dealing with armor and how to play with that gun. I mean the heavy's gun, how to like trick them. They are all still the same. But I mean, what Banana Joe has raised a good point here is that it's not applied just in tier 10, and you have tier 8 also. and tier 8 mediums are much worse, and that's one of the main reasons. Is one of the main things would be the penetration. And there are lots of tier 8 mediums which have horrible penetrations. One is T44 and T54. What their
Mod
penetration?
yes. Especially the Russian ones, all the Russian premium.
Yeah, these tanks, I mean, they're just not really good. And I think one point very good to point out is that tier 6, you have tanks with almost like 140, and usually you go with 30 penetration more for each 30 millimeters more of penetration for each tier. And on tier 7, average is still 140, and tier 6 you have quite a lot of tanks 140, and I don't know why it's just stopped like the same for tier 6 and 7. But then you have tier 8, those roaring heavies like Object T5 to use, Chrysler K, and the front arm is just, oh my goodness me, and IS3 and loads of heavy tanks. That's like the tier 8 mediums just further suffers from the from the buff there. So in hindsight, the hit point brief buff, I think it's not really that much of a difference. But then, like for example, tier 8 mediums, I think Wargaming, I think the next in line to buff would be the tier 8s, tier 8 mediums and lines, because right now they are just not good enough.
I just want to jump onto YouTube again. Shell Magnet, yeah, same. I mean, my stats on my main account are the way they are because I did exactly that back in the day. I rushed the tier, which is why I stand on a soapbox in a lot of videos saying, don't rush the tiers, guys, because I've been there, seen it, done it, and got the t-shirt, and trust me, it is almost impossible to turn those stats around. It takes a lot of time to do it, and I mean a lot of time, and in some cases it's just not possible. And that's the thing. So yeah, I'm with you on that one, Shao. Yeah, I screwed it up also. And it's impossible to get it back. What controversial questions are being ignored, Mediocre Joker? Send the question, and I promise I will not ignore it.
Oh, I also have some kind of controversial topic to discuss about. I mean,
that's what we're here for. No, seriously, guys, just in case you don't know, you can raise whatever subject it is, as long as it's rather, hi Sam, as long as it's about the game and not about politics that is currently happening in certain parts of the world, because then we won't touch upon it. But anything to do with the game, we'll touch upon.
Summer season, yet once again, I think it's one of the most exciting, with quotation marks, in terms of controversies. Because since the last week, we have now 2 big controversies happening around, which gained a lot of attention, I would say.
Yeah.
And the first one, I think I will leave the biggest one at the last, and I think everyone would know what it is. But the first big controversy will be that NA server for Wargaming, they extended the deadline of the registration. And
did they?
Yeah, they did, and some clans complained that they were trying to do that in favor of Rain registering their team because they forgot to do it within the deadline, and some clans thought it was trying to favor them. But I mean, in the end, I think Rain didn't register, and it wasn't Rain's fault. I mean, it's their fault not to register in the first place, but it's kind of like speculation, like purely speculation that Wargaming is favoring Rain. But then it caused a really big backlash because first of all, and I personally has really strong views about it, is that the draw has been completed already. So I mean, the teams know who they're going to face, and then suddenly you're extending the deadline. Secondly, it said it's going to end here, like the deadline is there, and suddenly you're going to change it right after the deadline has passed. and like one day after the deadline has passed, so I was like, this is like in violation with what you have written in the rules. So.
But I mean, did they? I mean, I don't know if it's connected, but I know they had connection issues at some stage, or server issues at some stage.
No, it's not related to that.
Okay.
So the reason why they extended, as they said, is because they misconfigured the tournament. I think they said that they misconfigured into 5 groups instead of 4. That's written on the regulations.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to extend it to fix that problem.
Oh,
But
okay.
here comes a second problem. If that was actually the case, if it was indeed misconfiguration on the tournament itself, why don't you just redraw the groups?
Yeah, redraw. Yeah.
Why do you have to extend the registration period?
Yeah.
That was the only part that I wasn't too sure why was this the case instead of straight up controversy levels.
Yeah, and then you have the clans who managed to register before the deadline, and so is it unfair to them? And then yes, after the reopening of the registration, I think one PNCR team that registered in the end, and another PNCR team, and that means the draw is completely going to be redrawn once again. So suddenly the clans who might have alright draw suddenly will be disadvantaged.
The draw was meant to be redrawn anyway because the groups were messed up.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's true.
If that's correct according to Wargaming, though, I'm not actually sure.
Yeah, and they also had a point with the not enough teams registering. Like they have like 19 before.
And again, that's even the bigger question. They said that they consider one of the reasons to extend was because NA only has 19 teams. They said that NA. But the thing is, Asia also only has 19 teams, and why didn't they extend it for Asia then? There's many questions waiting to be answered by Wargaming, but it was really never resolved in the end. And
it's not the same.
Well, like I touched on earlier, I mean, I have a strong suspicion that there is a concerted push to raise the awareness in North America. And, you know, if one of your top teams, one of your top clans in North America is not registered for a tournament, then as much as a lot of people would like to say, well, it's, you know, it's naughty, it's bias or whatever, it makes sense to get as many teams registered as possible. I mean, I don't know the history behind that, but if there is a concerted push to raise awareness in North America, then as long as teams aren't disadvantaged per se, then yeah, I mean, as a company they're going to do that, to be honest. It may not sound good or nice or whatever, but I don't know. I mean looking at let me just check now, because this is where the disconnect is, I think, with which is why we're seeing a lot of things happening in North America that you don't normally see. I mean North America North America at the moment is struggling as a player base. It's struggling. I mean, Asia is beating it, and it never used to beat North America. Asia never used to beat North America, and now it is.
I don't think so. Is it though?
Yeah.
In what terms?
Well, the average for the last week. No, North America was beating it last week, but the week before, Asia was beating North America. This is according to BlitzStars. So there are blips in NA. The week before, the average was high. Was the difference of 1,000 players? The average, which was unheard of.
NA is still better than Asia.
Well, now there's an average of just 3,000 players as of today. As of today's data, it's the biggest leap they've had for a while. On the 18th, America the NA server reported one of its best figures at 10,000 players, and then when one of the updates came in May, it had 23,000, and since May it's been going down. So from 20,000, it's now running. So there you go. On the 23rd of May, Asia had 10,000 players compared to 7,000 players for North America. So, and that stuff like that used to be unheard of. And then Asia, at the end of June, was recording 8,000 players compared to North America's 7,000 players. Now, there are other things that kick in on that, like COVID and, real life issues that stop people from playing. But it's obviously a concern for wargaming. So they're probably doing an effort to increase that. I just don't know.
I wouldn't say that NA is falling behind, because clearly NA is still pretty good, like, compared to Asia. They're still doing pretty good.
No, I don't disagree with that, but when you look at it from a gaming market, North America's your biggest market in real terms. And, you've got just in the United States alone, you've got 350 million people, and it's a game that should appeal to them. It's war, it's shooting, it's blowing stuff up, and it's mobile. So why is the player base so low in a region that loves gaming? Is the argument.
Yeah. And I think I also made some points before as well, while I was reacting strongly to this incident here, because I remember Wargaming tried it one time. I couldn't remember exactly, but I think it happened in the 2019 last season tournaments in spring season, if I remember correctly. But if it's not, then definitely there is one time. What Wargaming did is that they didn't announce anything. They didn't say that they're going to bring the deadline earlier. Like usually it's like 1 hour before the registration. That ends 1 hour before the tournament starts. The registration ends there. But at that moment, the registration ends 1 day earlier than that. And
yeah, but it just read the regulations every time.
No. Let me finish first. Wargaming did not extend the deadline in the end, and some big clans are involved. Some big clans didn't register the team in the end, and they were not given the chance to register because the deadline, because they missed the deadline. So I don't know why now they would just extend the deadline for whatever reasons, and I feel like it's like something some really weird reasons have gone into it, and
I mean, as much as I'd like to sit here and say yes, I feel something surreptitious may have happened, I don't think they would. There's got to be a valid reason that must justify them taking that action. Else, if there wasn't, there'd be an outcry, I would have thought.
Yeah. I mean, there was already an outcry already. But also another point to tell is that if there are not enough teams, if you discover that like an hour earlier, why do you extend the deadline after the registration ends? Why not do it before the deadline? And that's what happened to, for example, the university when some kind of student association, when they asked us for submissions for the yearbook, they keep on extending the deadline. I mean, it's not the best, but it's fine because it didn't end. The extension was announced before the deadline, so I mean, you could do it that way. I don't see why you should do it after the deadline. When everything seems to be set, and everything seems to be set in stone, and suddenly you reopen this. And it's just
well, maybe, yeah, this is a gravity match, by the way. Maybe, I hope, maybe one day somebody from Wargaming may want to jump in onto one of these coffee chats and give us some insights. That would be nice, because I'm speculating, you're speculating, we're all speculating, and the problem with speculation is, as people, we tend to go for that seems suspect. And we always speculate that way, to be honest with you. So I'm still waiting for Mediocre Joker to send me the controversial questions. He hasn't sent them yet. So let's move on to the most controversial one at the moment.
Oh, the most controversial one would be win rate seeding for the...
Oh, that's for the seasons, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people complaining about that.
However, though, as I did it on stream as well, I ran several hypothetical scenarios, and then I started to find out some problems with my hypothesis actually, and then I started to find out the advantages of win rate seeding actually.
There are advantages, yes.
There are, I mean, and then I realized that the win rate seeding, yes, it's bad in principle. A lot of things, I mean, valid points there, but then leaderboard seeding equally has like lots of like valid fake issues as well. I mean, if you want me, I can talk quite a long period of time about the seedings and so on, what I've tried, and there are main issues that that I think would be the center point, the focal points of a discussion.
Well,
I mean, if you allow
I've been seeing some of the stuff being zipping left, right, and centre on the official Wargaming Discord, and what my penny's worth for win rate seeding. Oof, how do you say this without sounding? No, I'm just going to say it. So, those of you who are in Europe, mainly, not North America, so the deal for real, this will be completely alien to you because, as far as you're concerned, only girls play soccer. It's called football, by the way. Any sport you use your hands is not football. Take the World Cup, the FIFA World Cup. Now.
Yeah.
That is a seeded tournament, funnily enough. The teams are seeded. Yeah, they're seeded. Because they want the best teams to make it towards the final. Because that's where all the viewers will go. That's, if they didn't seed Brazil at the top, for example, then Brazil may not make it to the semi-final stages, and then nobody's going to watch. Nobody wants to watch, say, San Marino against the Faroe Islands in the final of the World Cup. It's not the same. So they have to seed them. Wargaming take a similar approach. They want the big teams to be there, the top 8s to be there, the known clans.
Quotation marks.
Yeah, but they want the known clans to be there, like for EU, they want Raid. They want at the moment the clans like Raid, Endgame, Legion, R2K, etc., etc. Because that's what's going to make people come and watch. That sounds unfair because all of a sudden it says, well, when we do the Ascent tours, it's based on seeding. So I'm in a clan that is got a win rate of 50%. We're playing Raid and they've got a win rate of 65%. It's unfair. Well, is it? You've got the chance to beat them. If you don't beat them, it's because they're better than you. Maybe. Yeah. So is that really an unfair system in that respect?
I mean, with rate seeding, one of the big disadvantages that people have been mentioning is that how it rewards rerolls and how it disregards the experienced players who have played thousands and thousands of games in here, and then their win rates. I mean, it's kind of an exponential decrease of how you can alter your win rate. So
okay, no, I get that. So let's take a team of rerolls. Let's say they've got all 2,000 battles. They're a team of rerolls, and their win rate for the team is 70%. And then you've got a team of veteran players, and their win rate is 55% for the team.
Yeah.
Then they're matched against this 70% team in the early stages, because they would be, because of the win rate seeding. If they're good players, they'll beat them.
Yep.
Regardless of the seeding.
Yes. But that doesn't just limit to these two teams. It affects other teams as well. It's like a domino effect. And then,
no, I understand that. I'm playing devil's advocate to try and say, well, if you're good enough, the seeding shouldn't matter, regardless of your win rate.
Yes, if the seeding is good enough, that it doesn't matter. But how about? I mean, it's not just these two clans. You have to consider other clans as well who are affected by because of this seeding. Let's say for example, you suddenly have like Winter War against Raid. I mean, they beat them in the end for one of the games. But for example, let's take spring season. Winter War has to face those really good clans at the early stage, and then like for this summer season, like R2R almost like got eliminated in the like the round of 16. Like they got into round of 16 automatically without having to play like round of 32 for like most of the match days. They simply cannot get through to the next round for most of the time. So that means they wasted that kind of the good seeding, and I wonder if you put some other good clans there instead, what the implications to the clans that want to do well, like they have to work much harder.
Well, they have to work harder to win, yes. But if they've got the skill to take on and to win, it doesn't matter what their seed is, realistically speaking.
I mean that's true. I mean it's true though. I mean,
and that's what I always come back to. I mean, you know, it can be soul destroying when you're in you're in a clan that has a 50% win rate and you're seeded against a clan with a 70% win rate. But if you're good enough, if you're skilled enough, it shouldn't bother you, and you should be able to turn them over with your strats. And if you can't, then the best team won, did they not?
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I think that's true. I mean, I totally agree on that, and I think that's a fair point there.
The thing is where win rate seeding matters is usually in top level of gameplay. We're talking about with that. So when we talk about top level of gameplay, you usually see clans of teams at least 60% win rate, and really, the win rate. You talk about the tournament team. Usually, the win rate usually stops matter after a certain threshold. Let's say 64% win rate, and after that threshold, 64% threshold, you can go as high as you want. You can go 75, you can go 85. It doesn't matter. You're not playing. If you're not playing as a team, no matter how high your win rate is, it doesn't change the fact that you're a weaker team. So, the problem here is teams with higher win rate would get seeded higher, even though sometimes they're not the better team.
That is a different argument, yes, and I agree with that. That's different.
With win rates, so with win rate seeding, you could have a team that just hit the threshold, 64% team win rate, but they're gonna be lining up against, let's say, the 75% win rate team because win rate seeding does exactly that, and it sometimes just doesn't favor some of the teams.
Yeah.
And yeah, like probably the 64% team can have very similar battle performance as a 75% win rate team, but win rate seeding doesn't think so. It doesn't think the same way as people would perceive them from just tournament gameplay alone. So that would be my only problem. That would be my only issue with win rate seeding. But other than that, it does most of the job pretty nicely.
Yeah, I think it does. I personally think, and I know it can be controversial in some quarters, and a lot of people don't like it. But I think when you cut it to its bare bones, it does what it's designed to do, which is get the best teams in. And if you have got a team of rerolls, let's go back to the team of rerolls on their 70% win rate, then it may not do them any justice or advantage, because as Maddox has just said there, it may put them in a game against a lower win rate clan that is actually better than them. So it doesn't really help their situation. And what happens over the course of the tournament, it's whittled down to the skillful clans, the clans that are the best. And you know, and I know a lot of people will say, oh, but it's always the same top 8 or the top 16. Well, I hate to tell you this, they're the best. And you know, if you want to break into the top 16 and top 8, then you need to get better players to play better strats. Simple as that.
But then there is another.
I think the biggest issue with win rate seeding is not because of how it determines the best team out of it. Is actually what comes in between. So it's not the best, not the worst. Whatever's in between is what players think that they're not being treated fairly. So let's say, the 75% win rate team is indeed worse than the 64% team. But how do we determine with this seeding the 75% team could probably be the number 3rd best team in the tournament, but they got knocked out because this seeding sort of put them against the assumingly first win rate team. So whatever comes in between the top and the bottom, I think it was the biggest issue for most of the clans that were complaining about it.
And another issue with that, the win rate seeding, because you have better seeding, and then yes, it whittles down to, and then at one stage you will need to face the good clans, but then it differs and with how far you're going to face them. Like some lower win rate clans, they need to face it at an earlier stage, and for some clans, the clans with better win rate but are not necessarily better skilled will face them at a later stage. But here lies the problem here. The current cup system we're using, they follow a linear trend of increase. Okay, so that means the clans with a really good win rate, they can just finish middle all the time, and then they will get into that stage, and then it's fine because they got enough cups to get in to that stage, and that benefited them.
Well, I read somewhere on the Wargame, just jumping in there, because I read something on the official Discord on the tournaments. Wasn't there an issue cups wise related to R2K or something, that R2K had an issue or something, and they said, we worked really hard or something? No. I saw something as well that R2K said, what was the point of working really hard to have it turned around like this on the last day or something? I can't remember what it was. I did read it somewhere.
I think it was because of the random seeding.
Yeah, that was it. It affected R2K or something. I saw something on it.
No,
yeah, that was another problem.
So that was the final stage of the summer season championship.
Yes.
What happened was every single tournament in that series, in the Ascent tournament, was win rate seeded.
Yeah.
And we got cups out of that. We determined the top 16 clans, top 32 teams.
Yeah.
But after that, Wargaming just basically throw the entire system out of the way and say, "Here, we're gonna be doing random seeding from here on in."
Okay.
Yeah, that's actually the main topic I want to talk here, actually. So I mean, they got all the cups and so on, the win rate seeding here. I did several hypothetical scenarios, and then I said to myself how I could try to prove that my hypothetical scenarios are better than win rate, the win rate seeding. But in the end, actually, I started to find some big issues with my hypothetical scenarios. And then, like the win rate seeding, although they are very bad in principle, I start to see some kind of like what the Wargaming's counter arguments can be, and they are some of them are actually pretty convincing, I must say. Yeah. So that was like the topic I want to bring out today.
Okay.
The win rate seeding in the group stage, whether they should use that or they should go through the leaderboard seeding instead. So basically what I've done, I've created 3 scenarios actually. The first scenario is what people have always been suggesting, the leaderboard seeding. So I just completely seed the entire, I did it with the EU teams, so I completely seeded them according to the leaderboard ranking. They looked up pretty good. I must say, I think they look better than the current seeding I saw for Big Mile, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what the first scenario I used. The second scenario, I think similar to World Cup and also Champions League.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and then I put into 5 pots. Okay, 5 pots of different teams. So like the first pot would be the teams ranked 1st to 4th. Second pot would be the teams ranked 5th to 8th, and then the third pot would be ranked 9th to 12th, and then the 4th pot would be ranked 13th to 17th, 13th to 16th, and then including one second team from let's say in the EU server, R2K is the currently highest. The second team would be R2K, so I put it in the pot 4, and then their second team would be ranked according to the position of their first team. So yeah, so I got these 5 pots. So I now randomly reassign the kind of the order of the pots. Like originally they are ranked in level 1, 2, 3, 4. I just randomly draw how they're going to rank in the end. So after that, I got a pretty interesting tournaments as well, and they're just similar to the leaderboard seeding, but I think they are also interesting. The third system is that just a really minor tweak. I put Alpha K back in the pot 3 instead of pot 4 because Alpha K they earn like 11,000 cups, and that would not make sense to put them in pot 4 because the first team of pot 4 only earn like 9,000, 8,000 cups, and like, yeah, I'll put that in pot 3 instead and see how it goes, and then how it turns out, and then yeah, still pretty interesting draw as well. I mean, that's the 3 hypothetical scenarios I've made. And I think I got it in my stream and also on my server as well. The final results I got, I think they are pretty interesting to say. However, therein lies with an issue with leaderboard seeding is that I think all will be going with how you're going to deal with second teams.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, the second teams. So you can go like. So what I did with leaderboard seeding, the 17th team would be, those second teams would be ranked after the 16th placing team. Yeah. So that means in EU server you have the 16th placing team as ASP in the EU server. 17th seeded team would be Alpha K. So if you think of this way, that seems a bit weird. Why is Alpha K? Like, yeah, I'm not going to put shade into ASP. I mean, they've done well, but. I mean, think of this way, it doesn't kind of make sense they are put like behind some of the teams like Alpha K. They beat some leaderboard clans there, the top 16 clans there, relatively safe, relatively comfortably. So how are you going to see the second teams here in this case? How are you going to see them?
Well, you wouldn't be able to do it fairly. That's the thing. This is the problem.
Yeah.
I mean, and this is why they have to continue with win rate seeding to an extent.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm gonna sneak in a very, very controversial opinion here. Use the cups that the player earns himself.
I wouldn't disagree with that.
Yep. But the second problem is that I've thought of is that how about teams, the second teams who have never ever played in Ascent tournaments, or how about how to see them if they only play in like quick tournaments, tier 8, and they perform really well, and they just stumble with Ascent or just play 1 or 2. I don't even see them in this way because once again, in the end they could play really well, and then they just go against those giants and then knock them out, and then yeah, hallelujah, we didn't have a team that we expect in the final stage. How are you going to see these kind of teams? That's another problem, I can say.
If a player isn't playing Ascent tournaments, why? I'm not even sure what level you're supposed to be expecting them. It might just be better to just see them as nothing, because I honestly don't think any player that doesn't play Ascent would have that much of an impact on the game anyway.
Exactly.
But then you can just, you have quick tournaments, you have tier 8 quick tournaments, you can just like secretly train your team there as well, or you can just secretly train with others as well. So like there lies within like the kind of the secret teams. There's secret teams that you don't know that could do really well. Although EU we didn't see that in the end, it's like the second teams.
I would say that's really going to be a very rare situation if that really happens. I would not like. If you have a secret team that's better than your main team, I would probably put them out instead of having a secret team in the first place. I would go ahead and secure a higher leaderboard ranking, and if it was leaderboard seeded, then I'll have those players get all of the cups and just get an easy way into the top.
Well, this is why I used to like if you remember the bronze, the silver, and the gold tickets.
Yeah.
That's why I used to like those series, because it doesn't matter where you. The win rate seeding came in there and it was a bit, but if you played well enough and you were in the bronze series and you played well enough and you got your silver series ticket, then you could go and play on the Saturday tournament. And I know Ascent works the same way with regard to cups, but the ticketed tours, that's why I like the ticketed tours, because you've got to win the tickets, and it's the player who gets the ticket, and you've got to get the ticket to get into the next round. And forget what happened during the spring season here, but the concept of that is what I think is fair. So I don't. What happened in the spring season in EU was a bit wrong, because had that system just worked as normal, then Raid wouldn't have been in the top 8. It's as simple as that. And there's no wrong, there's no harm in having upsets. There's no harm in that.
Yeah. Yeah, but let's go back to the problem. I say it's not just these 2 points here. The third problem, I actually thought about it today. It's that how are you going to define the first and the second team? This is going to be a problem if the clan decides to mix up the players, and then they take some second team, originally second team players, and then you put it into the first team, and then you allocate some first team over to the second team. And how are we going to define who is the first team and the second team?
Well, this is the thing, and you're now starting to venture into the problems that wargaming face when they're trying to do tournaments.
And then you also have the problem is that if the clan during a tournament, the second team, maybe they're a very, very big clan, and they put out a second team with different players, every time, and then maybe even the first team as well. I mean, different things, different roster. I don't know whatsoever. Maybe this is a bit rubbish, but the first and second team. I mean, that's pretty. I mean, if that happens, how are you going to kind of?
Well, this is the thing, and the top clans are different because they understand the nuances of some of the tournaments, and what you tend to get is you get a lot of players complaining. I mean, love him or loathe him, I think Rexy at Wargaming, who runs the tournaments, does a fantastic job. There's a lot of stuff that goes into tournaments and running a tournament, and making sure it's not abused, it's not spammed, and you're trying to cover bases that a lot of people haven't considered. And it's the same with everything. And this is what I was trying to say earlier. Our knee-jerk reaction most of the time is automatically point the finger at Wargaming and say, no, you're wrong. And there are reasons why they do things, and it's not just to screw us over and piss us off. It's because there are, you can't please everybody all of the time, is the age-old adage. And therein lies the problem. So you've got to try and find a system that works for the majority and not the minority. Yeah. And that's why they do what they do.
Yeah. So now, I mean, if I continue, these are the 3 main points that the main concern I think the wargaming would make. I think will be the potential counter arguments for wargaming in defense of their win rate seeding, which in the hindsight, in some sense, the win rate seeding would guesstimate how well the second teams are doing. Yeah, so.
And you can't do that though. You can't do that though. It brings in too many uncertainties, unfortunately. It really does.
Team. So in the end, the second teams would be the main reason why I think wargaming was going back with the win rate seeding.
Absolutely.
But then if you go back again, there doesn't need to be a second team. Spring season never had a second team system. You're only meant to send one team for those tournaments. But why are you changing the system here and there if you think that something's not going to work with it? It does not.
Republic, nor am I, mate. Don't worry. No, carry on, guys.
And they're making this tour, and even making this tournament for the minority, like the top player, and they can't even sort of try to satisfy the majority of the top players, and that's a big issue, I think.
So actually, I agree with stripping off the second team because the second team just creates a lot of uncertainty with the validity of the kind of the seeding and so on. And that, win rate seeding has a lot of disadvantages as well with the system used for the group stages. So
I think they put the second teams in because again it's another catch-22. So let's take for example a good clan that I know that has 2 teams, and that's R2K. the second team, they're trying to get places in the first team, and they're trying to knock people out of the first team. And the reason they field a second team is so they can prove themselves and get into the first team eventually. If you take that away, then you'll have people leaving clans en masse.
But then,
maybe.
I mean, it's like
Feast has a second team as well.
That's true.
So
For Maddox, you do have a second team.
Like how we handle second team is that when spring season comes, we would separate the teams. So whatever the main team has earned doesn't go to the name of the second team, because like now that both teams will have to make their own way into the top 8. Like we all have to work hard.
Yes.
This sort of Athens system, you ideally you only want to have to send one clan to grind all the cups and send 2 teams for the championship. Your second team basically doesn't have to do anything just to get a free spot. And I do not think that is a good way of doing it.
And also, if your clan is really really good in terms of like the chemistry, and also in terms of like overall atmosphere, you don't have to worry. They will just leave the clan. In some ways, in the game you are in different clans, but in the community you're not. But
the thing is, the top clans want to be able to rotate their players. That's the thing. And top players, just like top footballers, for example, aren't going to hang around if they're not getting time on the field. And they get time on the field sometimes in the second team, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but then what's actually kind of ironic, I would say, is that you can hop between the clans during the season, and actually kind of provided an argument why they should not make that. Why they should not make some kind of like a clan allegiance system, something like that. It's just because, if the second team, that player proves himself to be worthy of the first team, then can just leave the clan and go back to the first team easily. It's just in the game they are different clans, but in real life they are the same. So that's why Rain, you see a lot of like this first one clan there, and then the second clan with similar name, and then just how clans work this way around.
Maybe there will come a time. Maybe it's a big maybe. I don't know. Maybe there will come a time when there'll be, regular tier 8 and tier 10 tours, and clans, the big clans, will have a tier 8 team and a tier X team. Who knows? And that may settle that argument. Who knows? I don't know what Wargaming's got in mind, but it's not for me to say how a particular clan lead runs his clan, but it's for the big clans. In Maddox, you're a clan lead and you're a big clan. It's got to be difficult when you've got so many players who are so good. Only 7 can play and only 2 can sub, and clans can have up to 50 players, and trying to retain those players when they're probably always saying to the clan lead, well, when's my chance, when am I going to get a go? It's not easy.
Yes, but then you just raised a big issue with a lot of clans. Some of the clans, not a lot, maybe some of the clans at the moment, is a problem with over recruitment. Basically, you just recruit too many good players, and then you cannot give all the good players a chance to play.
There is but a lot of clans, a lot of the top clans don't have players who want to play tournaments. A friend of mine from way back on the forum, who used to be called Super Schnitzel Koenig, who's now called Raid Schnitzel. He's not a tournament player. But he's a fantastic player, and he's in Raid. Or I don't know if he's still in Raid. I've not checked for a long time. So you are going to get players who jump into the clans who aren't interested in playing the tours. You will get that. But so clans will still get people in. But the problem that you're going to face is if you're a clan and you want to be a top clan, then you still need the pool of resources at your disposal to be a top clan.
Yeah. But then but my point is that if you give too many places to the tournament players, then You can't just like rotate everyone once in a while and just like that. I mean,
well, no, but you've got to, no, but your second team is there to try and get the spot in the first team. Because I mean, you've seen it, and I've seen it. Clans come and go. Top clans come and go. I mean, you know, in the last Twister, I think we lost 2, maybe 3 EU clans. They just disbanded because they didn't get through to the next stage, and they just went. UN was, I mean, Recti, you know, he had a clan and it sort of dissolved.
Yeah.
Because they didn't progress. It was UN, I believe.
Yeah.
So clans
was
are
best BC, best of challengers, I think.
So you know, clan leads have got this difficult balancing act, I would say.
That's true.
Where they've got to retain, they've got to have more than 9 good players. They've just got to.
Yeah, I mean that's true. Yeah, that's true. But then my point is, my point with over recruitment would be like having like 20 of these players. Then it's like, how I mean.
Yes, Republic Soldier. It is Russian. He's asking if I'm Russian. He's asking if I'm American.
Small roster of players.
And I'm saying to Tion, niet, English, which means no. I'm English.
Recruiting when they have like, we have that amount. We don't need any more, and something like that. I think Matos says wants to say something. If I. Because I think
you have a big roster that isn't a big of an issue, but you have the talents, but you don't have the actual leaders to lead a team. That is probably the issue.
Yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't thought of that.
That's what's happening with Feast right now. We have the talents. We have like 2 teams of talents, but like realistically, we only have sort of enough resources to actually lead one team around. We just don't have the proper players who can play while calling to be leading a second team.
Yeah.
So if you say it's Feast or recruiting,
No, I would say your plan is over recruiting.
I'm saying that myself, but in another sense, if we can get a caller to lead the team, then that answer becomes a no.
Yeah.
So whether it's over recruiting or not, it doesn't depend on whether that clan is big or small. It just depends on where that clan has the resources to sort of construct a second team.
Or maybe if they could let's say manage a second team, if they are able to do that, then I think I'm totally fine with that.
And with this current and with competitive scene, as usual, if any competitive scene, it's hard to get hold of some of the talents, especially callers in this state. So it makes them all the more important to sort of, you know, try to make your name as big as possible, so that you can attract the ones you want.
Absolutely.
For example, I want to attract a caller, so I want to make my clan as big as possible. I want to populate my team, my clan, even if they're not playing tournaments. I still want them, because every one of them that is a good player would make my clan sort of sound better.
Yes, exactly. Because you've got to attract that talent. You're right, and that's the thing. This is why I don't envy the job of the clan leads in the top clans, because they've got to do that, and it's not easy for them, because then you do get egos coming in, saying, well, why am I not in team number 1? I've got a 75% win rate. I'm a really good player. Why are you not giving me a shot? And you know, I don't envy the role of a clan lead of a top clan. I really don't.
Yeah. I mean, I understand. I mean, I was a clan lead, so I.
You were as well, yeah, exactly. And you were a clan lead of a top clan also. To be fair.
Yeah. So I understand how difficult it is to operate a clan and how you want the balance to it, and I think sometimes the difficulty I face is quite different as well, and.
One of the things I've always never envied of a clan lead is telling a player he's not good enough to be in the top team. You know, you're just not good enough to play Clan Wars, or you're just, you know, you may have a 70% win rate, mate, but you're just not good enough to be in Clan Wars. I'm sorry, because you're shattering their ego, because their ego is there. The ego of these players is there, because they think they are.
Quite some players as well. I did tell quite of the recruits as well that I'm sorry, I don't want to accept you to the clan because something I expect you to do didn't show well during in this, for example, test training or something like that. So yeah, sometimes I make this kind of mistake. Yeah, even if they are like. Yeah, as well. I mean, pretty good as well.
I'm a pretty cheeky clan leader. I don't do those stuff myself. I do make those. I leave some of my work for like the members to deal with it as well.
Yeah.
So recruitment. So what Feast does with recruitment is that we they don't contact me. Nobody contacts me during recruitment. They contact our main team players. So Our main team players is their first go. So our main team players feels that they have the potential and. Like let's say 4 of them feels like you have potential, then yeah, it goes to the second step. Then you can start applying and stuff. So you got to impress our players before you come and talk to me. So what I think, I designed the system in mind that since I'm not the only one watching it, so I want to create an environment where I'm not the only one that player reach me for. I want the players to reach each other for stuff that they need. For example, if I need a platoon mate, they shouldn't be coming for me. They should be coming for their teammates that they'll be playing with, right? So by doing that, I'm sort of relieving everybody, sort of like helping them to build future relationships with different players that they could be their future teammates. So during the recruitment, you could be meeting your future teammate, so they will be giving you advice. So I'm not being the authority telling you what to do. I might not have the actual stats. I don't have the actual skill to do that. So I would leave the actual players who are, who actually knows that sort of role to teach you how to play that role, right? Yeah. I'm sort of reducing my workload, making me sound like a bit lazy, but at the same time, I'm sort of building this sort of environment where they're learning from their peers instead of just coming to me and for everything and every single thing.
Yeah, and that's kind of a different style of running a clan. I mean, different clans will have different methods
different
of
kinds
running.
of different ways of running.
But at the end of the day, the clans appoint deputies for a reason, and deputies are there to deputise. And when you're running top teams like you guys were doing, it's important that the player who's coming in is accepted by the rest of the team. So there's a lot that goes into it, and like I said, this is why I've never run a clan, because there's too much hard work, and I'm a lazy ass.
That's true.
I do enjoy being this role, even though sometimes the work comes of it is really harsh. You gotta lay out the truth sometimes, and it hurts everybody.
Absolutely, I don't envy that. I've seen it in the clan I'm in. I mean, Sam has no qualms about telling somebody they're not good enough, and it just absolutely, you're telling somebody with a 69-70% win rate, I'm sorry, you're not good enough, and it just absolutely destroys them. No, it does. It destroys them.
Yeah,
and
I know.
And you see the messages coming back all over the place saying, "Why do you say I'm not good enough? I've got a big win rate. I've done this, blah blah blah," and it's destroying somebody's ego. And sometimes it's like when we talked on the coffee chat previously about ratings battle. And we've said to people, look, guys, you just got to accept you're not as good as you think you are. And when you're trying to go to a top clan, that reality really does kick in.
Yeah, that's true.
You may have a shit up win rate, but doesn't mean to say you're going to be good in a top clan. Doesn't mean you're going to be good in clan wars. It just means that, you're good in random battles, maybe.
Or maybe you might be good. There are loads of cases that I reject people. Usually, like, you might have good skills, but you suck in communication. Then if you suck in communication,
there's 101 reasons why they may not make it, and there's 101 reasons why the top clans are the top clans. Because as a team, they generally gel, they generally know each other's play style, and they generally listen to what each other's doing. And sometimes players don't want to do that because they think, well, why should I listen to you? My win rate's better.
And then here comes also if the player doesn't fit your philosophy, then sometimes you might have to reject them, even if they are good. If they play well in our philosophy, if it doesn't fit your system, then sometimes you might have to reject it.
Absolutely,
that happens.
Completely
creative difference. Yeah. And then you also have a case where you have really good that player has good communication, but his skills just let the team down, like too many bounces, and then, for example, like when the team is in a brawl situation, that will put the team in a horrible disadvantage. So sometimes you also can reject them.
Yeah, no. So, I mean, Sam is shouted at lots of people. They're not because they're not. How can I say this? He's rejected people because he feels, and some of the other members of the team feel, that the basic skills aren't even there. Even though they've got a good win rate, when it comes to clan wars, it's a different type of skill level that you need.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
He's rejected people saying, "Well, I'm sorry, you may be good in random battles, but I've just watched you in clan wars, and you can't aim for toffee because you're bouncing so much, which means your basic skills are crap."
Isn't a top clan. So
I know, and then he turns around and then you have players saying, "Well, do you understand spotting mechanics? Do you understand what to do when you've been spotted?" Clearly, you don't, because in clan wars, being spotted is a bigger thing than it is in random battles.
Right.
No, Sam's just like shouting at people. There's a reason his clan
is
actually a top clan.
He
hasn't even made top 16, Fugit.
He almost made it. No, he was out by one.
He was 1 point. Oh, yeah, he was one place away, but he just shouts at people for the sake of it. He's actually not the best. He can tell people how bad they are at clan wars as much as he likes. Literally, watch himself play in any random battle. He is like the biggest critique of other players, but he doesn't take it himself. His clan.
Oh no! Actually, I'll tell you something. You're not right there, because me and him had a big argument the other day, where he was overly critical of me, and I said, "Well, what are you talking about, you muppet? You put me there. You told me to do that. I did exactly what you said. You're out of order. Blah blah blah. It was a shit tactic." And we agreed to disagree.
He doesn't take that, but it's because of all these mistakes he's making as well. He's judging his own clan wars players, but he gets like 6 different players a week. Like his team is never the same team the next week or the next week or the next week. That's why he doesn't gel. None of his players know each other. They're just trash.
Well, to be fair to him though, and I have to be fair, and it's not. I'm not just saying this because he allowed me into Zenith, but to be fair, I have learned a lot from him. His style is unique. I'm a bit of an older guy, so being shouted at and screamed at doesn't really affect me as much. And my ego is not as big as some people think it is, funnily enough. So it doesn't affect me more. And if you're prepared to listen, I've actually learned a lot from being in Zenith. And it's somebody said to me yesterday on the stream, great camera work. And in fact, Bushka J sent me a message saying, really enjoyed the way you followed the game there. That's because of what I'm learning in doing quick tours at tier 10 with Zenith. Funnily enough.
I mean, I think Sam is like the polar opposite of me, to be honest with you.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I don't get me wrong. I don't think there's another probably clan lead out there similar to Sam. I don't think there is. And to be fair to Sam, like most of the clans out there, he has got an ambition to get Zenith up there, and it will take time. And I agree with what you're saying, Adam, where if you scream and shout at everybody, it puts people off. I get that, but at the same token, sometimes screaming and shouting people, it shouldn't put them off if they want to. And this is just the nuances of things, and it depends on a lot of differences. I mean, you can be overly nice, and you can lose people. You can be critical, and you can lose people. I mean, there's lots of different ways. And one thing I would say is, and like I said, I'll hold my hands up. I'll never be a clan lead because it's far too difficult. But if one of the things I would say is, if you really do want to succeed, then you'll take shit like that on the chin to an extent. and you'll say, well, screw you, I'm going to prove you wrong, and you'll play better next game, or you'll do something different next game, or you'll do something to prove the person wrong.
Right. I mean, so I'm kind of the clan leader, also the team leader. I think Yori can agree with me on this point as well. Is that I seldom shout, really. It's because usually I really assess whether I've done good enough to actually make the right criticisms. What I usually do is I always make some kind of suggestions of what you can improve on. I seldom shout because sometimes what I've done could be wrong. Sometimes what I've assigned you to do might be the reason why we lost, and I always like to kind of like to review what has gone wrong, and then try to kind of talk to the players that I think you have done something like that, and I think you should improve on that, or you should do something different the next time. And I sometimes do go a lot of interaction with the players sometimes, and I think Yori sometimes might I don't know. I think Yori can talk more about this. I mean, how I kind of lead the team and so on. But, yeah.
I mean, but as Shell Magnet says there, you've got to be able to take criticism without being offended, and it's a key. He says key to greatness. I mean, I think it's a key to success, because nobody is perfect. Nobody is perfect.
Yeah.
And no matter if you're the best player in the game, you will screw up.
And sometimes if I shout, if I shout too much, I feel like I'm a bit deluded in that way, because
but that's your personality as well, though. I mean, I don't think you're the type of guy who's in your face, Anyway, Sam is. Let's be honest. He's you're chalk and cheese, to be fair, and you're going to get people like that. You're going to get people who have not got the same demeanour as you. And Adam, I mean, you can be just as bad. I mean, you're very sarcastic sometimes, and sometimes you overstep the line.
He's got all the experience. He's played so many tournaments.
See what I mean? See, you're the same. You're.
How long will it take for your team to take criticism from someone who hasn't won anything?
See, but this is the thing. This is the thing. You're the same deep down. Trust me, you're the same deep down. Anyway, enough of that. Enough of that, because before we get to the
deputies left him.
Oh,
he was an idiot. Like, that's literally. if you want to compare good leaders, like, I get that, but then Sam doesn't come into that conversation.
Like I said, I'm not a clan lead. I've never led a clan. I was a deputy of a clan once, and you know that. And look at the shit that got me into, because I tried to be the voice of reason in that clan, and it got me into a world of pain. And I swear, I'll never run a clan ever, because you're not going to be able to please everybody all of the time. But anyway, enough of that. Last subject before we go, and it was a topic that I wanted to deal with last anyway. ATGMs. Wargaming are doing a survey, unless you've been living under a rock, saying, do we like them? Now, regardless, I'll just throw this out there straight away. Regardless of your personal views, guys, whether you love them or loathe them, I don't really care. I don't care if people like them. I don't care if people hate them. That's not for me. My view is my view. Your view is your view. All I would suggest is get your ass over there to Wargaming's official Discord server. Have your say. And don't buckle to peer pressure. If you like them, say you like them. If you don't like them, say you don't like them. Don't buckle to peer pressure. Be honest to yourselves. And that's what I will say. I mean, I have my own views on these tanks. I think the Sheridan isn't as bad as the T92. I think the T92 is a horrible stain on the game compared to the Sheridan. I think the Sheridan isn't as bad. I don't think it's brilliant, because it can still drop bloody shells from behind cover, which I don't think is right. But the T92 is just a tank that just doesn't fit in the game at all. And the reason I say that is because this is a tank that can hold, in a good player's hands, it can hold its own at tier 10 and absolutely decimate tier 8. So get over there, guys, and have your say. I've had my say. A lot of people have had their say. It's on their Discord, in the channel called ATGM Survey, I believe it's called. And let me just tell you, confirm that. It is called ATGM Discussion, and it's just under survey, and the survey is there. So if you go there, it's got surveys. You've got the survey channel followed by ATGM Discussion. It's very rare that Wargaming do such surveys. So seriously, lots of people have had views on ATGMs. Get your backsides over there and absolutely have your say.
I did make my views as well.
Good. And everybody should. And as I said, don't buckle under peer pressure. Just because YouTubers or famous people are saying, or notable people, not famous, let's say notable people in the game, are saying ATMs are crap, don't let that sway you. If you play them and you like them, be honest with yourself. That's all. Don't buckle. Don't be a sheep. Seriously.
Yeah. Although like I'm a bit guilty on this because like ATGMs is like I don't know. I personally was pretty neutral about it, especially as a kind of a strategist for making strats. ATGMs just opened up a lot of different windows of opportunities. I know everyone hates it because like missiles and so on and the mechanisms. That I mean. It's the same way as kind of like a die-hard Halo fan. I can say it, like how they hate sprint in the game.
But they're not balanced. There's 408 or something tanks in the game.
Yeah.
400. Let's say there's 410. I can't remember how many there are. Yeah. Let's say 410. 410 tanks in the game. 408 tanks have to break cover to fire.
Yeah.
What can I say? 2 tanks don't have to do that. That is palpably wrong. It's not right.
I mean, this is the main reason why people disagree. And I agree on that point as well. Is that what tank on Earth could do this kind of?
No tank on the planet, even as of today's date, has the ability to use missiles like that. Even the Sheridan in real life saw the majority of its action in Vietnam, never once fired a missile. Never once. It fired for the first time its missiles in the Gulf War, and after 2, it shredded its barrel. Couldn't fire anymore.
Yeah, so I mean, it doesn't sound reasonable at all. So I think it doesn't belong to the game.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't, because as I said, out of 410 tanks, only 2 tanks have the ability to shoot you and cause damage without breaking cover and exposing itself.
Yeah.
And that's the part that's wrong.
Yeah, it's not physically possible, but it's a guilty pleasure.
My wife's about to have a go at me. Hello, wife.
No, guilty pleasure, I mean. It's
5
just
minutes,
like
10 minutes. Yeah. And that's the thing.
Somewhat of a guilty pleasure.
So I seriously wanted to tell everybody, get your backsides over there. Yeah. Just join it, just to take the survey. That's it. I know what you're selling. I know what you're saying, Shao. Just join it to take the survey and leave again. It doesn't matter. Just for the survey. Because I think everybody needs to have their say. Something needs to happen with ATGMs. It has to be put to bed finally. Either they nerf them fully and get rid of those missiles and make them line of sight, or they leave them in. Either way, something has got to happen, because at the moment it's still a very divided community over this.
Also, one thing to add is that I don't want Wargaming to take a middle ground on this, because it would not appease both sides.
Sorry, Shell.
They either just go die hard with that mechanism, or they just remove it entirely. I mean,
I'll try to leave.
Oh, sorry. Oh,
no, I'm answering two at the same time. Sorry. So yeah, you get seriously, get over there, have your say, then leave again.
Yeah.
If you've left the server, join, take the survey, then leave.
Yeah, I mean, I hope Wargaming won't take the middle ground here because it just won't please any parties at all. It's just
no, I hope they don't, and I hope if the only middle ground they should consider is making them line of sight, and that's it. That's the only middle ground.
Or middle ground is that they change the mechanism into something not as advantageous. Yet they, I mean, if they can make it such that it's a more of a neutral.
Well, I said in the discussion in the discussion channel, who cares if you turn them into T49s at higher tiers? People play the T49 for the fun of it. They'll continue playing these for the fun of it. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Anyway.
What I was suggesting in the server is that they change the mechanism such that it's much more harder to hit the target behind the cover, so that now we can just work out the maths and then just hide into cover close enough such that the rocket would need to go for a really long distance and then would just auto detonate in the air and then you can't hit it because it was too long of a trajectory.
Well, I think it's time. I think it's time Wargaming took some action to nerf both fizzy and juicy tender steak. I really do. And on that point, we're going to leave it there because we've been going for almost 3 hours. That was a huge discussion, but it was going to be today because we had the Tier 8 tournament and a few other things kicked in, and now I'm being told off, as you've probably heard. Guys, it's been fantastic to chat with you again. Yep. Thank you on YouTube for joining again. Thank you for the moderators for keeping it nice in there. And great, guys, I know some of you have left, but for all those who joined on Discord, really, thank you for joining in. I'm hoping one day, it may never happen, of course, I will maybe be able to convince somebody from Wargaming to turn up. Right. I don't think it'll happen, but it would be nice if they did. So instead of us speculating, it would have been, we could have said something. And mediocre Joker, I didn't get your controversial questions. Please send them to me. Send them.
That was what I tried to ask you, actually, the controversial question.
You didn't send them. Next time, send them over, please. And with that, guys, enjoy the rest of your Saturday. And have a good weekend. And I'll catch you all again soon. Thanks for jumping in. And again, been a pleasure talking to all of you. Thank you very much. Bye for now, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.